So then we would. I thought it was. You see me December 3rd as well, right? It said December 3rd on it, so she thought.
Okay, hang on. Let me go back and look. Oh, I see you. There you are. There you are. Yay. All right.
Those look like Barbie glasses, like. On. Oh, yeah. So then where are those fish from diagrams from? Is that staffing?
That is PEI, that is the advisory council for the community school partnership.
Oh, and those people were here?
No, that's different. We have so many things going on.
Okay.
That's differentiated assistance from BCOE. This is when
Come on,
Karen
Meg.
and
What's happening here?
Laurel and Nicole and Sarah went to Southern California. And just to talk about the goals of the school and the
Okay, there
from
I
a
am.
community school partnership process.
There.
So they did that one, and then we started this one last month. And we
There.
included I think I told you that the other day, we included the Waldorf core, 7 core principles. And we started talking about that because one of the things that was coming up is were we losing our Waldorfness? Or we talked about that too. And so we pulled that in, and the big thing that came up and all 7 was relationships. And all 7, somebody talked about the importance of building strong relationships. So that one got up there. They have another one Friday, another meeting Friday. Yeah. It was, so we used to get that, they used AI. So they pulled the documents that we did that day with Liz. And then
No, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna
an
go.
AI document that said, this is what you said, and these are the primary. So instead of us having going through and count and think, oh, this is this, it just put it for it in minutes. It was amazing. Uh-huh.
And I was like, I just. And that's how I feel about AI. Like, I even, it can listen to it. Yeah. Okay, but I just have no comprehension. I just started to do it, and it is super cool. I did it to write an employee evaluation, like word it. Yeah, I just mess with the wording because, you know, to be harsh, but you want to make sure you're giving direction. So I just had it fluff up my word. You're being etiquette. And yeah. Like, what are you supposed to say? I was like, oh, that sounds way better than what I could do.
I use Grammarly for a long time, just to kind of, because sometimes it'll rewrite a sentence and you're like, oh, and
Yeah.
sometimes it doesn't, you don't know, but
Yeah.
sometimes it's like, oh, that's much clearer
Yeah,
than
yeah.
what came out of my brain. So yeah, it is nice. It's usually really interesting.
visually.
Hey, Beth,
setting
can you hear us
rather
okay?
than,
Mm.
A space that encourages group work. The wellness
Sorry,
group should be.
I
about
can,
being
I have my volume down, can you hear us?
Not used for interaction, and which is
Yeah.
something that we have done, like we used to
Okay.
for newspaper. Which
Right.
I love it, but that's not a wellness. room.
Yeah, it's certainly
Yeah,
transforming it.
So, yeah, so those sorts of things are questions that he should be, so if we give a general idea that we need a. Less than the size of a classroom, smaller space for that, that's as much, and then you let him get into the details with the people that are using.
Yeah, these
So
are the
would-
dimensions that Scott has given us, if those
Yeah.
help at all.
Yeah, that's great. Would Karen be connected to the wellness room and for the community, and Ashley be connected to the wellness room for kids? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay,
But they need to be two different spaces.
Yeah,
okay, so
I mean,
wellness
I-
room,
maybe, and that's the, I don't know. I don't know, that's
Okay.
Still
right
up to-
beyond my,
it seems logical because all the resources would be there for the person who's providing the care. Like if I was,
For the community coordinator,
yeah.
yeah,
So the community coordinator for the community room, community wellness, community resource room, and then the wellness room for the counselor.
so then can counselor come off of that top line?
Yep,
So then we still need
so that's 3.
3 there and then 2 here, okay.
Yeah, and then I changed principal to assistant director.
thank you.
Yeah, I was just using language that I
Yeah.
thought they would understand.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
no, we can't do that.
Yeah, if you start saying it, then people are like, who's supposed to be in it?
Yeah.
It's just the politics of it. Auditorium with a kitchen and nutrition office. That area is the bug thing, I didn't know
He's on, but he's not.
if he had any, if, we should ask that, and also you have.
Like if facilities office wants to be with nutrition, is that what you're saying?
It might be that they have like a.
Oh, okay,
The janitor's closet and,
Oh, like put it all
kind of that
together.
Department, do they need to be together? I don't know,
Yeah, that
okay,
could make it easier,
but yeah,
because right now they're separate, right?
right now they're spread up on all over the place.
Yeah.
And,
A lot of schools are saying, a couple of little holes in the wall.
they'll have, yeah, the
For
janitor's closet
each end of
also,
the-
yeah, and we kind of have that
Yeah.
now. I just also know this building
Mhm.
is really big for what we
Yeah.
need.
Yeah.
When you talk about building relationships, you realize that people are a half a mile away.
Yeah, yeah,
Not gonna, it's gonna be harder to build a relationship. And just, we had to set up a separate photocopy room a few years back. Because I had the 8th grade teachers had to walk all the way back to their, and I was like, let's just have, so
yeah,
designing spaces. That'll
that are
fix
central,
those problems.
yeah.
That, but, okay. Yeah.
I like the way you're thinking.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
I love that we have a stage we're building in, that's exciting.
so all of these look okay? I kept waiting for you to scroll up, but I forgot that it was my screen.
yeah, it's yours. I'm typing, you're scrolling.
So library and then admin. So this is more like a space and desks in it.
That was a question mark, like, I don't know. I don't know what is typical in schools versus just what Nathan built, so we don't know any better,
Mhm.
because I've only worked here,
Yeah,
you know?
So like, and when I was up in Oroville at the, they had in the front, there were 2 staff members, and that's all they had because it was just a school. The admin was the higher level superintendent, so forth was at BCU main office. So But they had desks that were in the same space, they didn't have separate offices. Usually maybe the executive assistant would have a separate office,
Mm-hmm.
but there would be a differently organized reception space, so people could work in that space together.
Mm-hmm.
This space is not designed for that.
Well, and I would think when they're covering for each other, to make it easier too, they don't have to leave their desk. They
Right,
can still be at their desk and still see if somebody's coming in
Yeah.
there.
yeah, it's just that our space is not
Yeah.
designed well for that, so.
Yeah, and
Getting something that has more of a bullpen
Mhm.
Mhm.
for at least two people, maybe three, to be able to work and cover the front desk at the same time.
that was,
My suggestion. I will tell you that if he asks the front office, they really like having their separate offices.
Sure.
yeah,
So we'll just allow the reality of business life.
that's how every school I've attended ever was set up.
too.
And so I don't know, I just thought maybe things had changed, but the one thing I wanted to just bring back, because I wasn't sure if this was typical or what, but for a long time at the beginning here, our receptionist was our nurse. So that it was like two jobs in one, so it was like the frontline soldier for everyone.
Mhm.
Whether you're a kid or a parent, or calling home, it was just that same person that did our first aid as well as attendance and visitors, because it kind of like all went together. And then I think we got a nurse separately, or no, they built the nurse office and once you built it, then you fill it. And so I just wasn't sure if
But
that's
nurse as
ever.
far as like first aid, not like whatever, like Kayla's position is, right, is kind of what you're talking, or? wait,
Yeah,
what?
I'm saying if Kayla and Kelly Sexton were the same
Same
person
person,
in
it
the
would be
front,
more
like
of a
in the
full-time.
front is the first aid bathroom, not the admin bathroom.
Yeah.
And so you go to the office when you're sick and they
Mhm.
decide if you're going home. And if you are going home, you're staying at the front office and you're getting checked out right at the front office.
Mhm.
That sort of thing. Like that was just like traditional. And then we had that and then that changed. So
Mhm.
again, I wasn't sure if times have changed or
Yeah.
is that how it still is at most places?
The schools that I worked in below, would have a nurse's office with a bed like this one, but it was right off the main office. So it would be like, you'd have the front desk, which usually the secretary would be there, who was ever doing attendance and everything. And there would be a nurse's office just to the side of that,
Mhm.
which the nurse was shared through 4 schools. So the nurse was herself was only there maybe one day a week, depending on the school.
Mm,
But it was covered by someone like Kayla,
mhm,
but it wasn't a separate job from the
Mhm.
registrar and the attendance clerk.
The
So.
schools I've been in, it's reception and then nurse to the side. So
mhm.
if the nurse isn't there, it's up to this,
Whoever is
whoever
there,
is at the front desk.
Still in the
take
front,
that.
taking care of who goes in
But,
and who goes out.
Yeah, so that there's a screening that has to happen to get into the nurse's office, basically. You have to go by the gatekeeper, to get in there.
so,
Yeah,
so that,
that only makes sense. Which is-
yeah, this office is not built for efficiency necessarily,
Mhm.
so we'll talk about that. When I first got here, there were 3 full staff members in that were working in the office.
Mhm.
So I was like, well, I don't think we need that.
Mhm.
So it was kind of designed like it wasn't so big deal.
Okay.
Yeah, so that, and I know that redesigning the front office is gonna be interesting.
An adjustment, yeah.
Adjustment.
So you're thinking the executive assistant also needs an office, like director, assistant director, and executive
Yeah,
assistant?
usually
Those
you'll
are the
see
three?
like I mean, what I've seen is the 2 administrators and the secretary each have an office.
Yeah,
Then everybody else works, and then the secretary also comes out and covers.
When we did,
There, yeah.
yeah. Okay, so do we want to put that as 3 offices? Director, assistant director, and executive assistant?
Executive
Yeah,
assistant,
okay.
yeah.
Because executive assistant, that's HR also.
Yeah, so there's probably
It's confidentiality.
confidentiality. Conversation.
Should I, okay. Okay,
That's fine.
love that.
Okay. And then staff workroom, staff lunchroom, we've talked about those being separate, they're kind of like combined right now, right?
Yeah, and I don't think they need to be very big. I think
Yeah.
people just want to be able to sit and
Mhm.
eat and be able to work, but not in a place where there's food, you know, like.
Yeah,
Really? Well, I think the conversations are different. I mean, so it would be, I think people would like it. I have also seen that in most cases, it's
Mhm.
very connected. I mean,
Yeah,
I think there's a few schools in Willows that I worked with all had a workroom at least connected, so there'll be like a
Like
big
next to
so
it?
This is my like, there's a lunchroom and then there's a big hallway where everybody's boxes are in the photocopy, so it's like,
Yeah,
it's very much next to each other. It's not.
the schools that I've worked at, they've always had tables for the staff to eat on and work on. A lot of prep happened there, and then
mm,
the copiers, paper cutters,
I
all of that on the wall and fridge and coffee maker.
think, I think what's weird about this staff room is that photocopiers are in the kitchen.
yeah,
yeah,
You know, so it's like you're photocopying and the person, the
Right.
typer is right here and the
Yeah.
typer is here.
yeah,
And I think that sort of structure is what makes it
Yeah.
difficult. I think that if we had, like, that hallway part to the music room was just prep and then we have the rest of the room that was like, you know.
mhm,
and
Yeah,
there's
some kind
sort
of
division
separation.
Because you're sitting at this computer and doing that, and here's a refrigerator right here, so it just doesn't.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think it's just not organized well, and we can't change anything because of where the
or like all the
the
power,
copiers have to be plugged over there.
yeah.
yeah,
Everybody's also has
Right.
that level of electricity, so I think it could be separate or it could be designed in a way, a separation of some, even if it was like a half wall or something would be something.
Yeah, because there probably is a little bit of, right, have a break and maybe you're needing access to that, so you don't want them to be maybe completely.
Yeah, it's just.
I always worked at lunch.
Yeah. Not that we want anybody to do that, but
You
then there is reality,
mhm.
right, so.
Yeah, I think the two things that there have been complaints on, well, there is a request from the teachers that all of the teacher resources that are in the library be put in the workroom.
Mm.
So that, you know, if you're looking for the red playbook or a storytelling thing, or, you know, that the
Mhm.
teacher resources are all there. And then, I don't know, maybe it's gotten better, I've just avoided it, but we have had some very messy staff members. And
Mhm.
so if I'm trying to find like the one table where I could sit and make packets and
And
then
it's
it's
like-
just disgusting,
Yeah.
it's
yeah.
like, you guys.
And you have to clean up before.
Come
you
on,
go.
and then there's nothing to clean up with, because
Yeah.
like, you know, that's one nasty sponge left by someone that would also wasn't clean or something. So I think we could do better, and I think it could be combined, but those are the complaints in the past.
I could see
It's
that.
a grade, she just grade level chore. First grade is the first grade, second grade is the second one.
Oh,
Keep it
yes,
clean.
clean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think it's important that all the resources be in one place.
this has
And
been
that
an
case-
issue that we've had all along.
Yeah.
Keep an eye. We have.
Well, you guys had
resources.
to, yeah, you guys had to do
Yeah.
what you had to
Yeah.
do with the wrong type of spaces.
Yeah,
So you
so-
got things done.
And the teacher resources being in the library or not being in the library, it's like, so then you have the teacher resources in where the kids' books, and it's like.
Yeah.
And then
Even the
novel
class
are
sets,
someplace
yeah.
else. Yeah,
Put the novel sets in there too. Like,
Yeah.
so if I'm a teacher and I need to print
Yeah.
and I need to plan and I need to do this, it's like,
All that.
unless I'm
So how-
spending money, then I go to the supply closet, that's separate, right?
Mhm.
But if it's already on campus and I'm going to use it or not, it would be nice that it's all in one central
I
location.
think that sense of an organized room for the teachers to work in
Mhm.
and room for them to everyone to rest in. Right now, it doesn't get all that dirty because nobody uses it anymore since COVID.
Mm,
The aides are in there occasionally, but that's it. I never see a teacher in that.
They just do their stuff in their learning classroom.
Which then we talk about the cohesiveness of the
Yeah.
faculty and it's like. Nobody, I go in and I have lunch by myself if I go in there, because I mean, it's not. I'm usually going there just to get out of the office.
Yeah, yeah.
Eat lunch and not in these four walls,
Yeah.
but then, yeah, nobody's there,
Mm.
you know, and the aides do use it, but
Mhm.
teachers who have their own classrooms don't use it.
Yeah,
Because it's not efficient for their needs. It's
I think
not
they're just
meeting
at their desk doing what they need to get done, maybe.
I think also we've gotten older and got more money and we've bought our own microwaves and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, when we first started, like we had nothing.
Yeah.
So but over time, like we've bought stuff and then we have what we need and.
Okay, so how is this discussion of teacher needs and
Mhm.
I think some of,
relaxing and food, how does that translate into our new library staff room?
I think, so I just
Teacher.
renamed it Teacher Center and
Yeah.
then separate but connected spaces for working and eating, teacher resource, bookshelves, copy machines.
Right.
Yeah.
Being able to design space that works together.
Yeah, because honestly, like
It's not
this
very-
big or smaller, but just usable and yeah, I think I was thinking too boxed on that. So great, we cut out another one.
And, yeah, one school, I remember just a comment, there was just one aide. And she was in charge of organizing that space and you didn't get no way.
Oh, I
yeah,
love
if you
that.
have somebody that's good with it, yeah.
But it worked.
Yeah,
It was
it's
new
just
work.
like,
Everything
we
was.
need those people that are.
We
Yeah.
do,
They
we
drive
do.
us crazy, but we need them.
You know, she was always labeling doors and doors. It's great.
Elska works at a school now where there are designated people that use the copy machine and that's it. It's the same two people. And you have to like cue it in, but they do it all for you. But
Yeah.
that's it, like there's no jams, it's like they are in charge of the machine. And yeah, it's like, well, that's cool.
The one school I work at, we have copy lanes, and you brought your project in, ready to go with instructions and everything, and you put it in the queue with the other piles of stuff, and if you didn't have it right, boy, you didn't get a copy.
Yeah.
So you were really good, but it was all copied in your box. Next
Yeah.
time you came back, it's really great.
Yeah, we're not being recorded right now, right?
Maybe.
Oh, we're on, okay,
Oh,
I
yeah.
almost mouthed off on something, okay.
Yeah, she started the Zoom and then because she was leaving and we can't start it without her.
Well, I've just been stressed with the copy code. Where would you like your office?
And materials,
Yeah,
resources, where kind of space do you want?
I texted him to see if he could hear us because he didn't respond to me.
You talking to me?
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
talking to you. What?
My audio is going in and out.
Oh, sorry. So we're talking about like nutrition and janitor's closet, and you guys are kind of separate right now. Do you foresee those like being more together, or what in a perfect world, how would that work?
Perfect world would be nutrition office in the kitchen, and then the janitors with a space, whether it be an office or just a space. And then mine, I like mine removed from everything, just so I have access at a different point in the building, so I can come and go without everybody knowing that I'm going to the front or going to, the side. It's just, and then I need like a little workshop kind of, not as big as the one we have now, obviously, but my office right now is just jammed full of everything that I have. So
So you
I
need
need
more of
like
like a storage area and then also like a workshop to repair
a
things.
storage shop. It doesn't have to be separate, two separate ones, but like one storage shop in an office
Okay,
and a secretary.
So Buck, does it work to put the janitor closet in the auditorium, or do you want it by you?
I don't need it by me.
So in the
Okay.
auditorium,
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, and then facilities storage shop, should we just have that near the playground? Or near the classrooms?
Near my office. that
Oh,
what you mean? What are you
I
talking
think
about?
I misunderstood. Okay, so an office for facilities and a storage workshop.
but
Yeah,
they'd
yep.
be almost connected as to.
That's
some-
fine if they're connected. Yeah,
Yeah.
next to each other,
Yeah.
connected.
And then those two things, do you foresee that being in the auditorium building, the administration building, or the classroom building?
So,
I'll be making noise at times. So I'm right next to a classroom right now. I have to be aware of and conscious of the noise that I make. If I have to drill or hammer or fix something that requires, tools. So
So
away from
not-
classrooms would be good.
outside ball.
Outside, definitely.
It needs
Okay,
to be ventilated. It needs to be ventilated as well. There's some fire code. The architects take care of that, but just to remind them that it needs to be ventilated in a certain way for fire code
Okay,
because I have gas and explosives and stuff in there.
oh, wow, yeah.
okay, so we would have like a kitchen, nutrition office, janitor closet, and then a facilities office with storage shop area.
Yes,
Does that sound right?
sounds great.
Okay,
Great.
okay. So,
We had talked in the past about the library being this room in the future. Like this room, the meeting room being the library.
oh, like combining them,
Yeah,
okay.
not building a room for meetings, but hosting meetings in the library.
I've seen that done.
Yeah, a lot.
I mean, it
Yeah, think
doesn't,
about it, and it works. Staff meetings and everything, you got the library right there, you got chairs, you got the
That's a good- yeah.
tables. Other presentations too. Cause you gotta have room for a full class to come
Into the library.
in, so.
yeah,
If there's enough tables for that, then there's.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
yeah, safe space, I like that,
Hmm.
okay. So large closets is where we're at, right?
Yeah, so the records closet, we could add that up into the admin building. And the technology closet, I don't know.
Like a lot of records or something? Like
Uh,
everything I feel like is digital nowadays.
yeah, that's a great question. I don't know. I thought we had boxes.
Do we
and
have
boxes.
boxes of records, just like, are the boxes we need to keep?
Not necessarily. So one of the things we need to do is go through, there are like
Yeah.
few files that we have to keep.
Sure.
Yeah.
And they have to be paper, so we do need a storage space for, that. Right now it's all in the tech room.
Is it like, enough for like a couple big filing cabinet storage space, or like you need like a separate closet?
It's substantial.
It's substantial,
Yeah.
It's substantial, I just don't know how much of that needs.
needs to be there, okay,
Because we haven't set up
okay.
any, storage.
And does it need to be its own thing so it's locked, like not? Only certain people have access to it,
Yes, it definitely needs to be only locked,
okay,
so.
so it can't be in with like supplies or something like that, okay.
Yeah.
No.
Limited
Fully
access,
locked.
kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Limited access. Exactly.
Okay,
And some of these rooms you have to think about when we're combining. What they might be used for is fire hazards and spaces that are only used for one thing or another. Just something to think about. Because the rooms right now we have there's red tape around the floor where we can't store anything right here because it's in front of an electrical panel. So I know that the building we're using right now was used for many different things, and we have to kind of work
Yeah.
around that. But that's just something to think about when we combine rooms. Make sure that they're compatible.
okay, yeah. Why we have all the different people here to,
I know, I would expect my architect to know that stuff, but I'm glad
And
he brought it, thank you, Buck.
Yeah,
I hadn't thought of that,
and he probably, part of me says, oh, he'll know that.
but
yeah,
But that doesn't mean we can't tell them to.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Right.
You know, that way we're not going, oh, we didn't tell you.
I was looking at his, draft of his presentation.
Okay,
Okay,
so,
so I moved in that admin building, I add large locked closet, record, school supplies and technology. Those are
We
all
did
things
that.
that
okay,
teachers don't have keys to. So in my head, it goes in the admin building.
yeah, that makes sense.
And then the other two closets, we
But
had,
school supplies goes there?
yeah, because we have
Oh,
to,
like like stuff
like
that's more,
Mercurius
yeah,
stuff,
okay.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, it's not a free for all.
yeah.
What is technology? Do you mean
I think it's like
Like-
our smart hub.
the laptops themselves?
So our
Is that what
network,
they
you're talking
store?
about like all of
Oh,
our
yeah.
networking stuff?
That's what I was picturing.
Yeah.
And so I
The
call it.
IT
work
room,
process-
IT room.
Oh, yeah, that's the word.
Okay,
IT, so the IT room is gonna need to be pretty big.
It's like that whole tech room is, that we have is designed for having a big server in it, we don't have one anymore, because we're all
Oh.
on the cloud. And our server is at BCOE,
yeah,
which is what we was encouraged when the Paradise Fire happened.
yeah,
This, we need to
Yeah, so
have
it's
a
not
different
local.
storage system, so it's
Yeah.
not local.
So we'll continue.
Well, we probably need somewhat of an IT room.
Mhm.
mhm,
We do not stereo the laptops and things there, because they're in classrooms.
Mhm.
okay,
Okay.
so it's just more like the connection. and
Yeah.
everything.
Actual-
Okay,
Yeah.
We can talk to BCOE about what we actually need to.
yeah, it's amazing now with everything with the cloud.
And
Yeah.
then I moved theater backstage closet to the auditorium. So all of our lovely in the future, like our backdrops, our costumes organized
Mhm.
by grade level or
Mhm.
size, you know. Our parent council event storage
Mhm.
also. So like the auditorium is such a like
Large closets.
event. So we have the Mayfair and the Harvest Festival would be in the auditorium room, and then the class plays theater closet would be there too. And then I don't know, we'd have to ask Emily if she would want to keep the stage set up for orchestra and then have a classroom for music, or if she would like
Use
where would
that.
where would all the violins go?
Mhm,
Cause they look amazing being
Mhm.
in a classroom.
mhm.
But if the orchestra seating would be like naturally on the stage, I don't know how that, like, and if she would want her classroom next to the auditorium, so she could do both, or if she wants to be with all the other grades.
Well, and who's using the auditorium? Make a difference.
Games.
Yeah, so they probably.
It's our big room.
So,
Yeah.
those, again, we'll go back to that, in both the intermediate and in all three schools. They have a stage cafeteria. And that cafeteria is used every day. There's a stage, and then when they're using it, and then in the middle school, that stage is also a music room. So it
They
shuts
have
off.
two different,
Oh,
They
they
have
have-
a stage
Mhm,
where the band,
mhm,
the band practices in the middle school.
on stage.
On stage,
Yeah.
that's their classroom every day.
and so what if they're using it for like for a game?
They use it all day for other things, but the stage is the stage, and then the auditorium. The rest of the auditorium is used for lunch.
And
Is there a visual
Yeah.
curtain?
Yeah, there's a
So
But it's not like from a noise, if they're playing like basketball in the auditorium and they're trying to practice violin, I'm picturing like. But
Yeah, they made it work.
Yeah,
so-
okay.
And
Okay.
I think they actually have like. A wall, not a wall.
Uh-huh.
the-
Sound barrier
yeah,
thing.
sound
yeah,
barrier.
oh, okay,
One of our
Yeah,
architects
seems like-
before from Turner Agassiz talked about that,
okay,
creating a multi-classroom space
yeah,
using some sort of,
Yes, they have those pods around the central library. And they can actually close, the pods are classrooms and they can close them off with a big sliding door. And it is on both sides of it is a sound connection. No,
Folks that
being
need
cool and stuff. Yeah.
Built in the sixties.
Bucks and
Yeah.
this.
Oh, where are these from?
Where is this from, Doug?
That's from the Orland High School, or I'm sorry, Orland Fairgrounds.
That looks like Hook Road.
Yeah.
But it's kind of right up our alley. It's not real expensive and it's
Notre
it's
Dame
not real finished.
linked one too.
Mhm.
Like it's not very big,
Yeah,
but just enough.
yeah, yeah. Okay,
I think we really luck out that we don't plan to eat in there also.
yes,
So that really
Yeah.
helps.
That's
Okay.
a pretty special part of it.
That we don't plan to eat where?
The kids eat in the classroom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so you don't need it for like cafeteria.
We don't, yeah,
but you still have to have enough. You want the whole school together.
Yeah,
It has to
for,
be big enough for all.
it just
Mhm.
doesn't get. taken from
But
it.
think of like
Yeah.
the tables
food.
that roll out
Yeah.
and the smell of ketchup all
Yeah.
day. I mean, it's like,
I don't know, today was raviolis.
oh, it's
Yeah.
still lingering like old socks in my
Yeah.
classroom. I just, okay. Then we just had our outdoor stuff. So a school garden, early childhood forest school play yard, and then the playground covered and shaded so that we can be out with no complaints when it's 108 and also rain. Dust yourselves off. Come on, guys.
Go back to the garden right now, we have like. The gardens are kind of like, we just have one garden? Or are we like? Upper grades, lower grades, kindergarten, like are we
I think just a school garden.
just a school garden? I would think that would probably be easier to maintain.
I think
having
there were
one
passion
central-
projects that popped
before.
up in different places on
Okay.
campus,
So
but
that we don't need them to be separate. Okay, you can have boxes.
I don't
Well,
know.
If you really,
Preschool kids are gonna have their own little box.
well, no, they like to take a little walk
Yeah,
over to the
too.
garden, like
Yeah.
it becomes its own thing. I'm gonna ask them, but I think they like that little excursion.
yeah,
So
Just
they
one
can-
garden.
box
just
there.
one garden. Yeah, I think for sprinklers and supplies and everything, it's logistically better.
So I'm gonna clarify two different kinds of gardens we have. We
Mhm.
have peace gardens,
Mhm.
where
Mhm.
like the kindergartners go and play in their garden,
Mhm.
they're growing.
Yes, that's true.
And then we have a vegetable fruit
Production, yeah,
production.
yeah,
And so that, so that's. So I think what we're talking about is an actual vegetable
Mhm.
fruit.
yeah, having just
production
one of
garden.
those.
Yeah, just one of those.
Yeah.
We've had the boxes on the other side for years
Mhm.
and they've never really been used.
Mhm.
So it's sort of like, it's not really that big a part of the upper grades curriculum.
Mhm.
Unless we're actually gonna make it that. It's
Mhm.
something that sometimes they think about doing and maybe they'll plant something there.
Oh,
But it's not like, oh, we're gonna do, a garden needs tending.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
the middle schoolers are not tending the gardens.
Yeah. okay,
The third grade families are tending
yeah, it's part of
the
what they're doing.
garden differently, so.
Okay, but yeah, I think in the kindergarten right now, how they have that space, the kids do really enjoy that.
Okay, so I put edible school garden and then down on the playground, little flower garden spaces for quiet recess spots.
Okay.
good.
And then you had this stuff down here, which is.
Oh,
kinda
those are just my notes for my presentation I did.
Okay,
We can
okay.
delete, I'll delete all that.
Okay.
So the amphitheater thing, I am thinking will probably be in the park.
in Merriam Park,
At Merriam,
yeah,
in the
Uh-huh.
park area that's next to us.
Next to us.
He's
Yeah.
working on that.
Where did
Hi,
it get
Kevin.
ready for you, so kind of.
Oh. So it's, so there are things that I'm like, I would really like, we need some sort of an outdoor teaching space.
Yeah,
But that may end up being part for us.
Yeah.
Because of the
This-
space. So that's-
And that is on our list of things that
I think
can,
we ask.
Yeah, so-
And the same with field,
yes,
are we gonna have our own soccer field, or is it gonna be the field that CARD provides?
we're thinking it's more the one that
Somebody
It's
else
gonna be-
pays for.
yeah, an extension of us, but not
Right,
within
right.
our.
And
Is
the
there enough
amphitheater
space for
too.
that? To do the amphitheater and the nature walk and a sports field?
Yeah, I think so. Because he's planning on having.
Sports fields are big. It depends on
Yeah.
which one you're.
I don't know if it's gonna be as big as like a big, like soccer field like you see at the Garmo or wherever, but
Mhm.
Just a big.
a grass area.
Mhm.
Green field would be great.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, we just
We're
got
just pre-meeting to.
But I
get
think
ready.
also
Okay. We
having-
haven't officially started, no.
having the track area on campus will be really important for games every day,
Mhm,
like running in the mile time and
mhm.
that would be really hard to like go off campus.
So that would be inside.
For
the
security
fence.
reasons and keeping an
Mhm.
eye out, yeah.
Keeping an eye out on all the runners at
Yeah.
different paces. Like we used to, before we cared about this, we used to have kids run around the
Yeah.
whole school at all ages, and we didn't even have the fences yet. And so it would be how many laps around the school, and even then it was like, I mean, no one can see them,
Yeah.
that's like facing the parking lot. And now we have middle schoolers that still kind of do that, but I think for movement and health, having a space that has supervision.
Within the fenced in
Well,
area.
the
Yeah.
track field is usually 100 yards,
Or,
400.
I mean,
Well,
a
that's-
big.
Yeah,
I don't think we need that, but.
You know, if we look just at the ability to put a path around the school
Yeah,
so that they can run around the
Yeah.
school.
right,
You know, it could be
Okay.
useful, but I think a formal.
Oh, yeah, no. I'm not thinking like a 5-lane
Yeah, yeah.
stacked track. I'm just saying like we need a
Just
space
a-
to run.
a space,
Yeah.
okay,
just a
Yeah.
path.
Space
of
of
some-
pickleball, we do,
yes,
but that may be the park that we.
Yeah.
I need to put it in.
Okay.
Are you Julie? I
Yes.
am. I'm Jennifer.
Hi Jennifer,
Nice
nice
to
to
meet
meet you. Sorry, my hands are freezing.
It's
It's been
okay.
cold all day.
So it's 6, so we're feeling good about now everything we've talked about,
Yes.
talking about it again with.
Great
Think of it.
teamwork.
Nicole is,
Yeah, I was waiting because we hadn't officially started the meeting, and I didn't want to have too many people.
okay.
So,
Right.
hi, welcome. Come in. Okay, so I had something else, but now I don't remember. Oh, do we want to say anything about classroom sizes?
Oh, could you pull up that diagram again real quick?
So I know that there's probably, you know which room feels good, so Buck had sent us this.
Well, I think what's really affirming, so I'm in room 7 right now, and it is just,
Oh, that's the
Like-
favorite of everybody's.
well, it's too big.
Okay.
Like, we don't need that. And so I remember an architect saying about 900 is average.
960 or something, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
960.
Depends
Okay.
on grade level, but yeah,
Mhm.
about there. Is room
Okay.
7 on this side of the building?
The backside.
Yep,
Is it? Okay.
they vary in size. Mhm.
Which room do you know is in the far corner back there?
Oh, the kindergarten,
Okay.
what room is? So that would be
11.
Sheila.
That would be
I
Sheila.
don't know if it's on that list.
I wondered if that was about the size as yours, because that one would be big.
That was pretty big too.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's more.
Oh, there they go.
Every room should be on there.
Hey,
What,
but-
do you know what room, Sheila
Kindergarten?
Moss is in?
18,
18? So
I think- 18 or 19.
Okay.
Even bigger than
Okay. Well, this room we're in right now is 930,
Mhm.
so, okay. Okay, so I'm gonna let Nicole in and then we can officially start. talking.
I sent RGA the full schematic of the rooms and the sizes.
Yeah, this is, I think you have this, but I pulled up. Yeah, I have it pulled up. I didn't share probably that thing.
Got it.
Yeah, thanks, but this is what I got from you. Okay. How do I get back to that? Maybe. Way off the subject. Too much stuff. Okay, Nicole, can you hear us? Are you in?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you, Tricia.
Perfect. Okay, so let's call the meeting to order. You have an agenda?
I do now.
Thank
you.
Do you have an agenda?
Thank you.
There's not really a whole lot on it. Yes. You want one?
I brought two that I made, but they're just the things that I want to talk about.
Okay,
So
these are just ours, but,
Cool.
okay.
Thank you.
We're good now, right?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Actually, I know,
No
Okay.
capsules. Okay, so we're
might be
starting.
one short, my apologies.
That's okay. We can share.
And I do have it digitally here as well. If you want me to join the meeting, I can put it up. for other
Sure.
people.
Yeah, there's a couple people in Zoom, so.
Okay.
Okay, so let's start with the school verse. You guys want to do it together? Or you want me to do it? Okay, let's do it together.
This is our school. May peace dwell here.
May the rooms be full of contentment. May love abide here. Love of one another, love of our school, and love of life itself. Let us remember that as many hands build a house, so many hearts build a school.
Okay, so. I'm going to just write down who's here. Okay, we need, Jennifer, you want to start with, I guess, attendance too, so it's on record too.
Jennifer Bryan, faculty rep.
Renee Gomez.
Trisha Athirtua, board. Oh, that's it. Okay. And I'll just put Becca's on Zoom and that's all. Okay, so then that takes us to item 2, public comment. And I don't, there wasn't anybody in. Okay, so seeing nobody. For public comment, we will move on to agenda modifications. Was there any agenda modifications anybody had? Okay. So then we will move to item 4, business. So new site basic needs. So we kind of did some pre-work. We did it before, but then we revisited it to make sure we were a little bit more prepared.
Excited to see what you came up with.
Yeah, so I can pull it up here. The one that I have them printed.
Okay.
But, we made changes, so. I think it's better, we just don't give this to you and I'll send you the final ones after because we've made changes today.
Sounds good.
So do you want to go through that?
Sure.
And do we want to do anything with these or what do you think?
Oh, well, I think we can reference then. I think it was
Okay.
a starting off place.
So
So
I'm gonna pass them around.
we had a community coordinator. And,
They're 2 different ones, so they stay together.
oh,
Yeah,
gotcha.
and, yeah, so one down to Kevin, one. I think that's it, right? You guys already have them.
So we have a community coordinator named Karen, who's really wonderful about connecting the parents and the wider staff all together. And she did some surveys and interviews, or just surveys, taking into account 2 questions. What do you hope that we keep as we go to the new site? And what do you hope that we gain at the new site? And these are the results.
And this was a little over a year ago, right?
I want to say it was, yeah, about a year. When the survey was done.
It was,
So-
yeah, it was probably.
This
Yeah.
says March 26th through April of this
Okay.
year.
So I remember we had our
Yeah.
Tuesday coffee that we were doing,
Yeah.
and then Karen would stand out there
And
and.
ask.
So this is a snapshot of essentially the parent community, and I think a total of 42 parents were interviewed for this.
That's not my response.
So it's not a reflection of the staff, but I think it's valuable information. And then our basic needs, we just revised that with trying to cut down our square footage and really think creatively. So now at this point, we have 3 early childhood classrooms that can be separate from the elementary school and middle school classrooms or together. There's creativity there, but they're in their own separate world. The elementary and middle school classes are more in relationship with one another, but they also can be separate. So there's a total of 11 education rooms, gen ed education rooms. Then for the additional classrooms, we were thinking of combining our upper grades handwork with a science lab, since we won't have science instruction all day. And so that would be more like a maker space. And then our handwork room, a violin room, an intervention room, and a sped room. And then a student services, this would be, you know, much smaller classrooms or offices essentially, for the speech therapist, the school psychologist, and then a place for the community coordinator and the counselor, and then their space that they either meet with families or meet with students. We were saying, you know, like half of this room would be more than enough for each of those. And the auditorium, we know this might not be built right away, but our intention is to primarily use that for physical education, theater, and cooking and serving our food, but not eating it. So we won't need all of the storage space for cafeteria tables and such. But maybe it's cheaper to have it built in as opposed to have them for events, but we'll need a backstage closet for the school plays. Every class puts on a play every year. We'll need event storage for parent council. They put on the Mayfair and the Harvest Festival. We'll need our kitchen for serving lunch and breakfast, the nutrition office, the janitor closet, and then the facilities office and a storage workshop. That's where there are flammable things, and you know, so we're just wanting to make sure it's ventilated and an outside wall for banging noise. And then the school library, either with admin or with the classrooms, but we would use that for meetings such as this after hours.
So probably access, if we're gonna use it for meetings, to get in too.
Oh yeah, that's logical.
And outside.
That's why
Yeah.
people do it, don't they?
Yeah, so somewhere towards the front, like entry.
So
If
the
we're gonna use it for
library,
Meeting rooms,
put it in the auditorium. You
yeah.
wanna just copy and paste and move that under admin? And then we would have a front desk area for the receptionist, registrar, and business manager. We would need 3 large locked closets for records, school supplies, and IT. We would need a nurse's office and first aid restroom. And then 3 administrative offices with an admin restroom for everyone that works in that area. But ideally, and we can't wait for this, the admin restroom not being the first aid restroom. That would be lovely. And then our teacher center, this would just be, again, it doesn't have to be even as large as this room, but a space that is separated but connected for working and eating. And that's where all of the teacher resources and bookshelves and copy machines would be. An edible school garden, an early childhood forest school play yard, so that early childhood area is really kind of a different aesthetic than the older grades. In the main playground, we really just want those kids outside every day, no matter what. So having it creatively covered or shaded for sun and rain, we were talking about the turf track and field. It doesn't have to be like a university or high school size, but enough that we could be really active and healthy. And then little flower garden spaces for quiet recess spots would balance out the interests. And of course, we have our structure that
Yeah.
we're taking with us.
The play structure, yeah.
Yeah, the parking and drop-off zones.
So that's kind of like the outline, and we had a lot of this already formulated, Ms. Jennifer did a lot of that work prior, but that we wanted to just really take all the different aspects and go through it again. So that's what we did today.
Super helpful.
Did we, is that kind of what you were looking
get an A
for?
with a plus on the side of
Okay,
it.
great. I think we saved like 15,000 square feet, but don't quote me. That's pretty good.
No, this is a huge step forward, and I'm glad to see that you did take the time to go back and look through that first basic needs summary and give a little extra thought.
Yeah.
It's not often that I get this level of detail in the first round, and it's not that often at all where people actually go through it and give it a second look through. So thank you.
Good.
And
Great.
we still got you, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes. And I don't know if we jumped to that quite yet, but I wanted to make you aware, I'm sure probably you already know, but we talked about me coming by.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Mhm.
Scanning the facility, just so you know, Julie, and making sure that we take stock of what you have here,
Mhm.
so. And I don't know, we didn't finalize that quite yet, but who might be joining us at that sort of discussion from the staff side?
Mhm. We posted that, having that meeting.
Yeah.
Mhm. All good.
Mhm.
Cool, well,
I have a couple questions before we move on
Yeah.
from that. If you could scroll up. I was curious. On auditorium. So obviously auditorium needs to be large enough for your entire school population to be in the room at one time, right? So that's what is your count, students and staff?
Or
About-
what 300 is what we. would be-
300?
Yeah,
So.
Okay.
kind of capacity. Oh, was
Staff,
that,
student, with staff, would be like a 340.
340 people.
That would be comfortable.
Okay.
that's your
then-
projected number, or that's currently, that's not.
that would be projected.
That's projected.
And
Yeah, if
that's
all classes were
Students
full.
and staff.
correct, that would be full build out for that school, that would be capacity for that school.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
I think the one, like, we're gonna be having our music.
yeah, that's what I was
Parents are gonna
thinking,
be
like when
putting
we
their-
have
yeah.
those, like, winter concerts.
Parents
Like
are
being able
going
to
to
have
be-
space for, enough space when, yeah, they have family coming to watch that.
Yeah, that's a good size,
Okay,
340.
Okay.
Spectators. That's a lot. of
but
audience.
including all of the kids, like if all the kids came. What are you guys? I mean,
Not
what-
kindergarten,
Yeah, 'cause that's true, kindergarten doesn't count.
but not, I don't know how many kindergarten.
Our grade right now is at 400 capacity.
That's capacity, and we do pretty.
Yeah, it's at
well.
capacity.
we-
That's full. We
we
still fill it.
Yeah,
It gets very warm.
it does get warm.
And-
That's the one right there.
Yeah.
For games. too. Okay.
And then you're okay with utilizing your school library space for your board meetings as well?
That's what we were talking about, yeah. We kind of,
It would either be that
What
or
are
the
your thoughts on
classroom.
that?
yeah,
No, I think that's a great dual use of it. You don't have your board meetings
during school time.
while kiddos
Yeah.
are here, so that would be great. You're just, laying it out so that it can be transformed into
Yeah,
a
Yeah,
meeting space
As well.
easily, maybe bookcases that are mobile, that can be just slid to the side to clear space in the middle.
yeah, make an open space.
Okay, and then on the, I saw you had like your wellness, where's the
Mhm,
wellness
Right here,
spot?
wellness.
Student services. Okay, so you have two staff members and they're meeting with others, right, with parents. How many individuals do those rooms need to accommodate? Is it 5? Is it?
It's 5, 5 would be good. We talked about it before, the wellness room we have right now is like 3 times the size we need. We do not need a full classroom size. It's really would be better if it was more about going in and being quiet than going in and playing. And that's what we're having happen. Right, oh, good, we'll go to the wellness room and play. And so that we're trying to reform that purpose of that wellness room. So I would definitely say it's the current one is much larger than what we need.
And you mentioned they need to be individualized. You need to quiet down on their own.
arrange time for them to be quiet on their own instead of going in and that's a pretty kind of part.
So they need this space.
Yeah, so it needs to be readjusted from what it is. We have a couple staff members that have gone to training and are doing that work, so I would have you meet with them to discuss what the wellness room actually needs to be. And then the other part that was there that we talked about is really more of a community space for parents and when we're
So that's the.
doing the, yeah, the community,
Mhm.
school partnership work is really, that space for parents to come and meet, you know, a few at a time to be able to have discussions and things like that.
So 5,
Yeah,
Occupants for
I'm
that
gonna
as
say
well.
5 adults versus 5.
yeah,
The community resource
Yeah.
one.
just get an idea.
Okay.
How large those spaces need to be.
We didn't put in the admin, I just thought of like conference room, is that something that's necessary?
Yeah, it will be necessary.
Because IEP meetings won't be able to be at the library during the day.
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you.
And the conference room was, so that needs to hold,
Yeah.
how many is in an IEP? meeting? Usually like 6 or 7?
Or, yeah,
Should that be off this bedroom?
no.
It can be an admin.
We
Yeah.
want it off admin, so the parents don't have to go through the school.
Okay. An 8-person,
8-person,
Table.
8
Table. And some-
Oh, and we need to have something,
yeah. Maybe.
okay.
But how would you want it?
So then down in the administration, you mentioned storage. I know Kevin will dive in much deeper, but be kind of inventorying what your storage needs are, what you have right now for your permanent files and that sort of thing.
we were talking about that,
Yeah.
what we really need versus what is just old that needs to
Right,
not come with us.
If we have
Right.
this from 2006, we probably don't. House many of them anymore.
right.
They're probably just in a box because we have the space, so they have them up here. So that's the truth of how cool. So
Yeah.
we'll be doing that also and doing that record storage work.
Good. Yeah,
And
more information are definitely gonna be needed on that in the admin.
And Susan brought up the IT, like our servers now at BCOE, and we don't need it here anymore, so our IT room can be much smaller
Yeah.
Mm.
with the cloud storage and everything as well. So,
Okay, that's all the questions I had. Thank you for going back.
yeah,
Mhm.
we appreciate the feedback and that.
We like that.
Yeah. So is it helpful for us if we put notes on here of how many people, like that room would need to hold?
Yeah,
Okay,
You
so I can
could.
have that.
I'd like to take some time tonight if we have the opportunity to walk through these, and I have
Yeah.
questions too that
Yeah.
would be great. To hear your words on them. I'll start with the first chunk here. I heard you say, Ms. Jennifer, that early childhood kind of wants to be its own separate thing, separate from elementary and middle school.
Mhm.
Sometimes we design facilities where there are physically 2 separate entrances for those student populations. I know the way that your school operates right now is just one, and my question is, does that work for you currently, having one entrance? I do know that kindergarten comes through a different door, I think.
Mhm.
Would you prefer separate for the 2 student populations, or do they come in and get treated by the same front desk folks?
You're all looking at me.
I mean, my take is kindergarten likes having their own in and out, but maybe they don't.
Well, so how it is right now that is working is that they have their own gate for kind of the extended drop-off time, where the whole school starts school sharply at 8:15. But kindergarten has the first 30 minutes that's outdoor play. So not everyone shows up on time. It kind of trickles in. But I know school safety is a big concern, and the kindergarten teachers shouldering the anxiety of a second primary entrance to the campus.
Mm.
I don't know, I'd have to ask them.
Maybe what makes sense is kind of what you already have, the opportunity for the kindergarten folks to be able to stay outside and have that separate entrance for their play, like he's mentioned.
Mhm.
I think we need to think about it. Part of me say with the current, safety issues that we address, that we really focus on keeping this area, like you can't get into the school unless somebody checks you in. And it would be very easy for somebody to keep the gates locked, but it's still having the kindergarten teachers have to be that monitor. I would think if they had a discussion with you, they would say they would prefer. That, you know, the thing is with Waldorf, it is a beautiful kindergarten entrance. So you go in and it's this lovely garden and there's berries hanging and all of those nice things. So to some extent, we might lose some of that. But I still think that with the current world that we live in, some concern for safety out there. That doesn't come up.
And my only addition I would say, and you guys let me know what your thoughts are, is as a I'm not a kindergarten parent now, but being a kindergarten parent, well, you have to walk them in and sign them in. So I would say don't have it where you have to walk through the campus to do that. Like it would need to be more easily accessible.
Great.
Versus all the grades, you can drive through, drop them off, right?
Mhm.
So like right now, if we had to come in here and walk them all the way through the halls, to the back of the campus.
It certainly makes sense having kindergarten closer to the playground than the other classrooms. Because they have a different schedule and there's a lot of walking to and from cars, sometimes with car seats,
Right.
their other siblings.
Yeah,
Right. Okay.
Yeah, because sometimes they're carrying babies with them.
yes, yes.
That's great. I'll kind of forecast a little ahead of where we are now and talk about something that we actually did at this building. At least when we first designed it and it was built, every classroom has a door to the exterior. And we did that at the time because we didn't want to have the fire rate corridor that went down the middle of the hallways here. I think that some of them are not that way. Most of them have exterior doors. Is it still the case?
The upper grades have exterior doors.
Okay.
The lower grades do not. So first through fifth do not have exterior doors. Kindergarteners and 6 through 8 have exterior doors.
Okay.
You know, so that's both a blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
Because it's, again, with the security concerns, having a different way that people can potentially get in. And what we know is that children who have been here before know those doors are here. So we have visitors sometimes, come knock on there and get a friend to open them, and all of a sudden we have someone we on campus that we don't know. So, so I like the outside doors, and I've seen that in science before, so that the kids can actually go outside to do homework and stuff, and it's a really good thing for them to be able to do it, but it needs to be secure, and this side is not secure there.
So if it's inside the fenced-in area, it would be
Yeah,
okay.
so we would love it for them to have an outside door. If it was in a way that it was safe and contained.
Courtyard.
Courtyard.
Sure.
I mean, I would say it's first, second and third grade, those teachers would pay a lot of money to have an exterior
Yeah,
door and
yeah.
not have to be saying walking,
Yeah.
all down the hallway, because the
Yeah.
kids just are ready to go to recess,
Yeah,
Well, and that's one of the questions is we have indoor hallways here, and one of the questions that has gone around is, do we want indoor hallways? Is that there are some really good things about indoor hallways and some really not so great things.
Totally, yeah. And we'll definitely talk about that more when we start getting into the space planning stages of things. These questions that I'm asking now are still high level enough that they're helping me with the next step in the process, which will be quantifying the space needs. So let me think about this for a moment. I guess I understand what you have now. I hear kind of your thoughts about what might be great for the new campus. Just to clarify, would it be ideal in your opinions if every grade level from lowest to highest had that exterior door as long as it was secure?
Yeah, as long as it was secured, that's great.
that's
Because as it is now, the door is open into a parking lot, which is open onto East Avenue. There's no exterior fence protecting the kids or keeping everybody out and the kids in. So if there was, exterior fence all around the school, then of course that would be great.
You agree?
I don't know how it's possible with a two-story. But yeah, I think everyone loves that idea.
You're predicting what I'm thinking. Cool, okay. You know, the next question that I had was related to a discussion that we had earlier on, which is that the classes rotate every year. I've been trying to do my best to do some case study research and learn more about Waldorf schools. I've got a pretty good research library going right now. My staff helped me put together, and it ranges from textbooks to actually quite a lot of master's thesis work. There's a lot of students out there looking at Waldorf schools.
That's
And then,
cool.
of course, floor plans, site plans, and all sorts of stuff from other schools around the country and the world, actually. I find that more often than not, what I'm seeing is that the classes and the classrooms are specifically designed for the student populations that will be using them. And I'll say something and kind of speak out of turn here because I am still learning the Waldorf ways. But what I have seen is that it seems like younger classrooms are designed specifically for those younger folks. And I'll skip ahead to the space part here a little bit. We won't go there fully today, but geometric shapes are different. I understand that there's a theory that the classrooms don't want to be as rectilinear as we would like them to be for construction purposes. There's rounded corners, there's different shapes that make it feel like the room is not confining and constricting. If I start designing younger kids' classrooms that way, and we don't, and I guess I should finish the thought, the research that we've done so far states that by the time they're towards the end of their stay here, the classrooms look and feel more like you would expect to see in a high school or a college. It's almost like it's soft to begin with, and then it gets these hard lines that are straight, more like a formal school, right? If we go that direction, I'm designing a kindergarten classroom that is only for kindergarten kids, and a eighth grade classroom that's only for eighth graders. In your understandings and in your operations, is one of those more advantageous than the other? New surroundings every year and rotating classrooms, having them all be equitable and the same size, is that better than having something that's purpose built for a kindergartner?
I think there are small clusters. So the early childhood would be one type of room.
Okay.
First and second grade would be one type of room. Third grade just has its unique setup because there is an actual small studio kitchen in the
Right.
third grade room,
Okay.
ideally nearby the garden. Fourth and fifth grade are pretty similar, and then sixth through eighth grade are similar.
Okay.
And essentially fourth through eighth grade could be exactly the same.
So
If
when
you
you
can warm it
shuffle,
up.
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, we can warm it up with, have it feel more cognitive focus versus hands-on learning focus.
So this may help you. The classes move every year. So the first
Within
grade
their own
class,
pod, kind of?
then moves to the second, then moves to the third.
Yes.
LA years.
Okay.
So the class moves, the classroom holds the grade level. The teacher and the students move into it at the end of the year
All of their belongings.
and everything, and then the next
Gotcha.
year they move again. So we still have that sense of progression that a traditional school is like. This year you're in the first grade
Gotcha.
classrooms. And they're in this wing, and then the next year you move to the next wing, when you go to your
Right.
school. We have that same, even though the group is connected and the teacher, they move every year.
Got it.
So we design, to design the
Yeah.
classrooms, as you've said,
Uh-huh.
to fit the grade level would be appropriate. We would never put eighth graders in a first grade class. That would be.
That makes so much more sense.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
So,
And that first and second grade, that's where you really need that carpet space, like you would in a traditional school. But by third, fourth, and fifth grade, at third grade, it's always a toss up, the carpet or the kitchen, and by kitchen, I mean like space where you can have a third or half the class actually cooking in the classroom. So that usually takes up that space. And then 4th through 8th grade, it's really, just set up for instruction.
Okay.
But yeah, that's where the built-in storage or at least storage on wheels is really great because we really do box
We'll
up
invite you back
everything.
the last week of school.
I would love to see that, the great migration.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
You said something that intrigued me, this teachers move along with their students to the next grade. Is that always when does that stop? Does the kindergarten teacher end up with the 8th graders at some point?
The kindergarten teachers do not.
Okay,
It's first through 8th. but-
gotcha.
And potentially, and many times at this school, they go for all 8 years, but they can go for all 8 years with the same teacher. We keep talking about whether or not that's really a working thing for the teachers, but
Mm.
so far, that's happened.
I was gonna say, it
If
must
the
be,
teacher is stay here sometimes. it
Sure.
changes it.
must be exciting in some ways for the teacher to be teaching something new the next year, but also
And challenging.
that's a
Yeah.
lot. of great-
Every lesson, every day is brand new. 'Cause
Wow.
by the time you teach that grade again, the world is different, you're different, the kids are different.
So
But
where are
it's
you
like
at?
parenting,
Right.
you grow with them and you don't really have a favorite because you're just always evolving with them,
Like,
you know?
Where are you at in your rotation? Just curious.
So I started in 3rd and I did 3rd through 8, and then I did 1 through 5, and this is my 3rd generation, and we're in 4th grade right now. I did 1 through 4.
Cool. Love it.
Yeah, so we're entertaining different ideas of still doing a 1-8 loop, doing a 1-4-5-8 loop, doing a 1-5 with 6-8 departmentalized, like single subject thing. But essentially, those changes won't impact those structures.
Sure. Yeah, operational, not design.
Yeah.
Kevin, when you do your walkthrough, you really be able to get a grasp of the grades in the different classrooms and how they look.
Did the,
And
he came and did the
Sorry, I
tour.
didn't catch that.
He said when
You
he did.
did?
Yeah,
Yeah, he came and did the tour, yeah.
and we saw
Okay.
maybe 30% of the whole
But
building.
yeah,
But
so
I know
did-
the-
yeah, all of them, but
I know the floor plan well, and when we come back and do our Matterport walkthrough, our scan.
Yeah.
We'll have all the information we passed through.
yeah.
Do you have a maximum class size?
30 typically, but
You mean as students?
Mhm.
Yes, 30.
we've had
30.
32 once, but that's just because of how it worked out combining the 2 kindergartens.
Yeah.
And
We've
then
had
it
a-
dwindled down to 30 pretty
It's
quickly.
back down.
We've had a
Yeah.
34 with the 6-7 combo.
Okay, yeah,
But that's not the norm.
no,
Yeah.
yeah,
What's the limited kindergarten
820.
Yeah.
in this class?
I think it changed with the
Yeah.
TK going in.
TK, it's 10 to, it's 20 for, and then, regular kindergarten is 22.
Yes.
Why we
Yeah.
grades.
So in TK, do you have 2 adults in the classroom for a total of
Yeah.
2, so
There are
20
two-
students?
There are 2 adults in the classroom.
Okay,
To keep that. There's an adult to student ratio of 10:1 for a pre-K, and I think it's maybe 12, 11 or 12:1, I don't remember, we've always just said 1, 2.
for good and
Kindergarten's my house.
gotcha. Okay,
There's always served.
Yeah.
And we've got a time teacher and there's a class at 8 in the classroom, if they're outdoor playing, it might be 2 8.
Yeah.
So
and then 30 for the rest of the grading levels from there.
30 is
Yeah.
the top maximum for the rest of the school.
Do the upper grades have helpers or aides too, or no?
We have aides that move into the classrooms depending on the needs.
Gotcha.
Sometimes we share aides. in the rest of the school.
Great. Cool, I guess we'll just keep marching along here then. When I think about the additional classrooms, I think about whether or not they have any specific needs, and we'll get into those specific needs in our later discussions. Again, I'm mostly trying to quantify space needs now and what you're doing in those spaces, so out of all the additional classrooms that are listed here, the makerspace, the handwork, violin, or intervention, we'll save sped for later. Are any of those, do they look and feel different than a regular classroom. I asked that because I don't fully know exactly what happens in the handwork room. You know, is it messy at some points? Is it almost like a shop? There's no power tools and noisy things, I'm assuming. Are they, when you walk into that in your mind, is it about the same as a regular
I feel like
classroom?
we need like way more storage, but
Yeah,
there's lots of
think-
things.
I heard that on our tour.
we've been blessed to have the same lower grades handwork teacher for many years, and she is meticulous about her things. But I can only imagine if it was someone else, it could be very messy, very often, very fast. So it's,
Yeah,
but at this point, it's a lot of organization and then working tables. That's how handwork is right now.
It's a little different layout than a traditional other classroom, but
So I would say close to a third of the space is storage in that classroom.
I saw lots of shelves and racks and
Shelves.
ladders for hanging.
Material.
yeah,
Yeah,
Materials.
curriculum.
tubs and bins and, yeah.
Okay,
So it sounds like those need to be larger than the regular classrooms.
Mhm.
Or there needs to be some storage.
Good storage.
Yeah,
Some
it's in those
storage
3 foot
somewhere
deep.
that can use,
Mhm. It doesn't all have to be,
it does not.
In the
have to
room.
Be the room, it, in
can
fact,
be changed
there are
out.
2 black cupboards in the hallway that are part of. Of that storage, so we can have storage for that other places as well. So it wouldn't, there need to be some when she's planning a week's work, you know, what projects she's doing, she probably like keep those in. But does all that, I think that would be a good question for them.
Yeah,
It's like,
she's doing a lot of knitting, sewing, needle felting. She's not doing like, they do sanding, really, right? They do it in the lower grades and then making the needles, but they're in the classrooms.
Yeah, first and
So,
second grade
yeah,
are
in there.
in the gen ed classroom.
She comes to them,
Mhm.
yeah.
Do they
Yeah.
do like seasonal rotation of projects? So like you have a classic home and we have our seasonals. Do they bring in like quarterly different projects?
I mean, they do stuff at different grades,
it's
but
more connected to, the intent is for it to be somewhat connected to the curriculum.
Mhm.
So if the class is doing earth science, then she's gonna be doing building on earth science, you know, so it's more for the lower grades that intent and skill building, so, you know, every first grader makes a chicken.
yeah.
In there.
How do the students rotate into those rooms? Is it the entire class goes there and does their work together?
Mhm,
Yeah, so it's 30
mhm.
children.
30 children plus materials, so it's pretty tight fit right now, really doesn't.
And in the upper grades, they're not doing anything different, right? Than-
Yeah, well, so that's what's interesting about the handwork is it's the classroom for 3 grade levels, storage for another 2 grade levels. And then the maker space is essentially a handwork room for the older kids that could also, they could be at science lab tables using the sewing machines, you know, because the actual science lab work is not frequent as gen ed schools.
That's super helpful to know.
Yeah, and those would never have 2 simultaneous classes, so that's why it can be one,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Scheduling, yeah.
I, you know, I like the idea of calling it.
Handwork makes a lot of sense now. Let's do violin next. Do the students take their instruments home with them? Do they stay here?
Some do. So I think when you come back and you see Emily Swanson is our music violin teacher. She has 2 rooms at this time because we used to have a music teacher as well as band and strings, but we need storage for school violins and school cellos. We don't really have any violas anymore, but we used to. And then storage for instruments that students check out. And one room is set up with tables for music theory. Essentially, I think almost all of those additional classrooms are more table rooms than desk rooms. but we were talking, we really don't know what Emily will want, if she'll want the orchestra set up to be in her classroom and then have just tables on the stage that she can go to as a secondary space, or if she wants the stage set up as her orchestra, just kind of permanently.
When you say orchestra and instruments that the students are checking out, are you talking about woodwinds and brass winds and?
Not yet, but hopefully we will have that again.
Okay,
There is currently, they do not take their violins home because we have enough for them. For most of them to be able to have one at home and one here.
They don't take them back and forth.
They
Yeah,
do not take them back and forth right now.
okay.
Mhm.
We hope to continue.
Yeah.
Because it makes the instruction a lot better.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So is that room, the violin room, it's used the entirety of the school day?
No. Is currently used between 11 and 3.
Would you mind explaining, and maybe it's not an easy question, but are there periods, or are there a certain chunk of time where kids go from places to places? Is that
Yeah,
a easy
so there is what's called the main lesson, which is a 2-hour thematic instruction period. And then in
Is that
addition,
different for every grade? So
no,
it's the same.
it's the same,
Okay.
1st through 8th grade. The only difference is the main lesson in 6th through 8th grade is later in the day so that the specialty teachers can flip-flop. And so every student has a 2-hour thematic block lesson time. It's a little less than 2 hours now. And then 4 45 to 60-minute periods for other classes. So math is an hour, but then it'll be like 1 hour of math and then 3 45-minute classes, whether that's handwork or violin or study hall or PE.
So they'll do handwork 2 days a week, and then they'll do violin 2 days a week, right? So they kind of they don't do those all every day.
Yeah.
To kind of fit everybody in. So,
I can share the master schedule with you, that may help. in it.
yeah, that might help. Yeah.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Sounds great. Okay.
Also, I wanted to add for the handwork class, I wasn't sure, but I know we do have sewing machines, but I don't know how many we have as far as storing, or if the large loom will be taken to the new sky.
Oh, to be able to have room for it in the handwork class, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. We can ask the handwork teachers when we get to that. Yeah.
What about the maker and science space? Could you tell me a little bit more about what you're doing in that area?
So right now, we just have 6th through 8th grade handwork, which is sewing and craftsmanship. In the past, we had wood shop. We've dreamed of having a science lab to use when we need it. But that is more or less a vision of what we would like, not what we've ever had before.
Now's the time to think about those things. When you say science lab, could you tell me the types of activities that you're doing in that space?
Gosh, okay, so 6th grade is physics. 7th grade is inorganic chemistry and physics again. 8th grade is organic chemistry and physics again. And 7th grade also has physiology. And 6th grade has geology and astronomy.
You pretty much run the gamut.
What about chemicals?
Yeah.
That would
Using
be,
any
that would be
chemicals?
7th grade in organic chemistry. That's the most intimidating to me.
And how strong chemicals are you using?
Like for ventilation and
Right.
stuff within the lab.
Surfaces
Yeah.
and,
That may be a discussion of what we do versus what we will want to do.
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
we don't have the ventilation systems and so forth. We don't have gas, in our classrooms to be able to have a Bunsen burner going. So So what we're doing is what we are able to do in a regular classroom setting. We don't have a science setup. So if we want to set up a science lab, which we're talking about, that's my thought is that's very different. That changes the science program if we then actually have a science lab instead of, hey, bring me, can the parents bring the vinegar, so that which is the kind of
Right.
stuff really overall we do now. We do not have any kind of chemical storage on site right now.
I can tell you in my experience, it oftentimes comes.
Sorry, what did you say? What did you say, Beck? We didn't understand you. Sorry.
I'd say, Zach Waldorf as a campus.
We have a limited
has
amount of
really
chemicals,
great
yeah.
Science lab examples.
Been doing some research on them, and I found some photos, but I kind of want to go plan to visit it. Have you guys been down there?
Yes, yeah.
Are they receptive and let you come to them?
Well, they host summer training every summer, and they host a winter conference every
Okay.
year now. And
That's
they
very fast, I'm sure.
no, that's coming up in February. Oh my gosh, Kevin, you should. If you want a 3-day getaway, that will blow your mind. Head to Sac Waldorf for the February conference, all of you.
What is that called if I were to look it up?
Okay, so it would be the AWSNA, AWSNA, the Alliance for North American Waldorf Schools, February conference at Sac Waldorf. And I bet it would be on Sac Waldorf's website.
I think it was when I was looking at their stuff last week. I think I ran across that.
And that would be for the private Waldorf school.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
So it's a little bit different.
Yeah, what they're able to do, yeah.
Right.
When
Thinking
we
about-
developed science labs for the junior high grades, we had this conversation with the teachers and they said, well, we don't use anything stronger than jalapeno juice. So we really don't need like the acid waste
Yeah.
tank, and they did get, chemical resistant surfaces, and they have sinks and running water. But they didn't have a need for the more dangerous chemicals. And even at the high school level, they're not using as many, that they have to mix in the hood. They're just curious.
Yes, I mean, that sounds appropriate because we're at junior high level, but
Yeah, I said that things like running water would be really.
yeah, like a
Mhm.
sink at the
Yeah,
table,
that's nice.
yeah.
Yeah.
And those things are doable.
Yeah.
Julie asked a lot of good questions, and I think you might be thinking the same thing I am. Is science labs cost a lot,
They do. They
and
do.
those things that she mentioned, like the chemical resistant countertops and flooring and ventilation and acid waste plumbing and gas routed to the desks. We've done compressed air routed to desks too. All those things start costing money.
Mm.
And I've done it both ways for charter schools. I've actually done ones that have a lot of stuff because they thought it was so important to their curriculum. But I've also done more that don't. And as is the usual charter school mentality, you
Yeah.
make do with what we got. And if it's worked so far with all the expensive stuff, then why add it? So it's not a decision we have to make now per se, but it does inform my space thinking a little bit now about that. So.
I think it would be really great to have you talk with two people, Allie and Kate. They're our lead science teachers. Neither one are currently teaching science right now, but
He just wants to let someone.
I mean, I think we'll need one Bunsen burner for the teacher, but
Okay.
not student access.
Okay.
And for me, I prefer not to have gas.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I want to put that on the table, so we're making that decision. Do we want this, do we not want it? So we're not saying later, "Oh, we didn't get a real science lab."
Yeah. Yeah, now is the time to talk about it for sure.
Now is the time to talk.
You can bring gas in a little tiny bottle.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Let's not say.
You talked a bit about the intervention room, and I think I have a good handle on that. Can you tell me how often you think that space is being used, intervention room? Is it as needed?
And so intervention and sped are essentially used throughout the day. Sometimes by a single grade level or a cluster of grade levels. And it's for small group instruction, so,
Are they sharing a room or they're two separate?
it's
They're
two
two separate,
separate.
The interventionist mostly goes into classrooms.
Yeah.
So I don't know that she spends a lot of time in her classroom other than for the upper grades when that she does. But she's like, right now, she's taking students into special ed when the special ed teacher is in classrooms. So they do some sharing space.
Do they need their own space or does intervention mean more like an office space and not?
I need.
How many students are in intervention at the same time?
A maximum of 8.
Ah,
So
Yeah.
small groups. Yeah.
so a lot smaller than a
Mhm.
classroom size. Mhm.
Probably at least a couple tables for 8. Something like that.
In sped, I mean, I know it can be, it kind of varies depending on what's happening.
Yeah, but they.
Also
they
no more than
also-
8.
No more than 8.
Well, it might be up to 12.
Oh, okay,
During, I would have to check that, but we're also talking about, thinking about some changes to what we're actually doing right now, so
yeah,
I would say 8 to 12, I can say that right now, and we can
So
type.
we can say 12 max.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just gonna add all these, I'll add those to this.
Do you have students that need special restroom facilities?
We could use.
Any
we have some
diapering
that
or
Could use that. We're making do with what we
like diapering?
have.
Yeah.
We've had that.
So some sort of changing table in a restroom would be helpful with privacy. Mm.
Sounds good.
I think, so there are 2 thoughts about restrooms, just to do a plug there. So one, we certainly want to implement gender neutral bathrooms as much as possible. And there was a hope from some of the teachers that we could just have a single bathroom with each classroom that they're responsible for taking care of. That I don't know if that ends up being more money or less, but that's what we had at the campus before we moved here. And the teachers who have been here that long really miss that because it was right there. And it also just, the children were part of the stewardship of that space as opposed to a larger unsupervised space. So those are just the 2 thoughts on that.
It's the good info. So the cheapest and most efficient way to build lots of restrooms is to do what we call multi-occupant restroom.
Called what?
Multi-occupant restroom. So what that means is in the way that it's currently recognized by the code, because the code does tell us how we can provide gender neutral restrooms. But if we provide a multi-occupant restroom, the code still requires that we label it as a male and a female. Inside of those rooms, the male or the female restroom, there's multiple fixtures, urinals, toilets, maybe sinks, maybe not sinks. We've done it both ways where multi-occupant restrooms have all of the fixtures inside of them, and then there's a shared hand washing station out front, perhaps. That's probably the most efficient and cost-effective way to do it, but it doesn't align with everybody's needs for operation. The next most expensive way would be to have clusters of single occupant restrooms. And at that point, that's when the code allows us to label those as gender neutral, because they are single occupant at a time, right? You've probably been in some of the restaurants here in town that we designed that have a toilet room, so to speak, and then a shared hand washing station. That's a pretty efficient way to do it too. When we have clusters of those bathrooms, those single occupant restrooms together, it's more efficient because the plumbing's all in one area, right? We're not running pipes all the way around the building. And then the code actually allows us to do something clever where in a cluster of those single occupant restrooms, we can have half be accessible, the bigger ones for wheelchair accessibility, and half can not be accessible. That saves you money too, right? A little more efficient with space. And then probably the most expensive way would be something like that, where there would be restrooms in each classroom. Doable, but definitely more expensive.
Have you seen as far as young child behavior, supervision and safety, gender neutral bathrooms
No,
implemented
I wish I
successfully?
had because it's on my radar. It's my
Yeah.
mission. I'm getting ready to do many restrooms at Chico Unified. So talking with administrators on supervision and I'm more concerned about the middle school age kids than I am the littles.
Yeah, like a locked
Um,
room for relations.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah.
real. If there's no view, there's no sound. It's scary to think about how to do it right.
I'm actually considering some indicators on the exterior of the rooms that, are maybe red or yellow, so okay, that restroom's been occupied because you're across the room or
Yeah.
you're down the hall and you see it's still red.
Yeah.
Someone's still in there. So you can go and check on it, so it's been in there a long time or, what might be happening in that room that you aren't aware of. But it's kind of new to all of us. But the idea of putting a single restroom in each classroom is very expensive. That would be a very expensive option. Kevin will be able to spread the restrooms out, you're gonna have staff restroom, they can make that close to student restrooms, so you're sharing a plumbing wall, sharing, or maybe the third grade classroom that has the kitchen, it will have water and sewer, so you could put some near there, but you're gonna wanna share those facilities that are in the plumbing walls to save costs.
What about like doing it like how kindergarten has?
Like one for 2 rooms connected.
Kindergarten is actually legally required to have their own.
Well, I was just thinking like the upper grades too, like they have a bathroom in between, so it's not one per classroom, but at least 6.
Yeah.
One in between. Yeah, it's kind of like 2 closets and then a shared sink area and then one stall, kind of the in-between space.
What I've seen, and again, this is operational type of question. What I've seen that seems to work well for schools that are about your size is the lower grade classrooms, TK, kindergarten, and sometimes all the way up through first and second, maybe third, get those types of restrooms where they are one restroom per room, but they are combined back to back, so there's a little bit of efficiency there. And then the rest of the upper classes from third probably through 8th, they have multi-occupant restrooms. The 2 biggest concerns that I usually hear from operators is hand washing time makes a huge mess. And if people are hand washing inside of a closed room with a door behind you, it's hard to keep an eye on them. And then the second biggest concern is what you were talking about too, the closed door behind you. For the junior high grades, it seems like most people just have an issue with friends getting together in the bathroom and it's a party time, right? But then also the higher grade levels, I have heard the concern about relations too. So by taking those populations and putting them in a shared environment, like a multi-occupant restroom, it reduces some of that issue in my mind. So there's probably my suggestion.
Yeah.
So kind of a mix.
And the for a school, any school, for 30 years, so I know. The bathrooms are a big concern. Kids will not use the bathroom and they're afraid of another kid and coming into it. I mean, there's a lot of really hard social stuff that goes along in the multi-room bathroom. And we now also have the transgender issue. So that need for a bathroom that is not designated either male or female is important.
So having one that is not, and then you can have the multi-occupant.
So I think, yeah, a combination like that can work. We do have children that I will not allow to go in a multi-use bathroom because of their inappropriate behavior with other students. And that, I'm sure that Julie knows that process as well. So I think having some access, I can understand not wanting all of them that way, and again, we don't have the budget, I don't think, to put one in every classroom. But though we might think about first and second, because just those are kids that often have not ever been in a multi-use bathroom before,
Yeah.
and sending them off. to do-
Absolutely.
And they end up on the other side of the school lost, and so that's a thought for me, is maybe we need to do that for first and second.
And you save so much teaching time.
Yeah.
When you
Yeah.
Go outside the classroom. to use the
Yeah.
toilet, they
Potty
just have to
accidents.
be gone. So
So, such a management issue, no matter how, but. No, that's just me throwing that out on the table. We do need some single non-gender identified bathrooms, and not
Absolutely.
just the ones that's next to Maggie's office in the front, and that's right now, they all have to come to that bathroom if they want us, want or need that single
Okay.
environment. That on the other hand, because they are coming to the front where there are more than one adult, that addresses a little bit what
Yeah.
because we're going, hey, but would be the bathroom that is, that you're talking about next to the nurse's office, so. That's,
Oh, that would be our children's bathroom?
Yeah.
that would be the bathroom that we, like, somebody would be aware of how long.
Somebody's in there.
somebody would be-
Oh, that makes me feel a lot better, Susan. That makes me feel a lot better.
But,
Yeah.
yeah, so
That's a good idea.
so I'm kind of thinking we need probably more than one of those because. Yeah, and it can't just be the same bathroom all the adults use, which is what we have right now.
Yeah, I'm dealing with a similar situation on a much broader scale at the high schools, right?
Yeah.
We have much more student population that wants to be able to use an all gender private, all gender restroom. And so I'm tasked with trying to spread them around a bit so that the spotlight isn't on that one student that needs to use that restroom, that they're open and available for everyone so that there's not this focus on that one individual, to just try to, make it a more acceptable situation for all of the students.
Well, we've had that concern too, because of the bathroom in the admin hall has been for many years. The bathroom that students are identifying as trying to use. But then a couple of years ago, we started getting this like, so I'm going to that bathroom. That's now identified as the trans bathroom.
Mm.
That's not healthy either, because not everybody can use that, we can't have all the kids.
Right, not
use
everybody.
that.
Yeah, sorry,
You know,
Susan, I
so
shouldn't have
then it
used that label.
becomes That,
Yeah,
kids with, 504s, because they are struggling with, their bowel issues, kids with, so it's like. Kids with behavior problems using that, but, so it becomes identified as
right.
certain.
So
children.
having a couple of opportunities
Would be
within
better.
the campus. And then we're also looking at evening events. I don't know how many evening events you have, but by law, we have to provide a gender, all gender restroom for evening events too. But if you're all in one building, that's easier to
Yeah.
do than
We-
mine are spread out
Yeah.
all over.
Yeah, which our current thing legally covers, but whether or not that's actually. It's not optimal, that's not
No.
what I would want the school to build in our permanent new facility.
Yeah.
It works, it covers it, but not well.
Think ahead.
Yeah. We do need some single, at least a couple.
Perfect.
Single gender for the children.
That's doable.
Thanks for that long segue, Kevin.
Yeah.
No, it's,
It's like you're at the edge of the whole movement right
Yeah.
now. I mean, honestly, like
Yeah.
schools are gonna look to us like, how did they figure it out,
Yeah.
Cause
yeah,
there's so many things to consider.
bathrooms are always a hot topic.
And they continue after the building is built to be a hot
Yeah.
topic. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I guess then let's move on to the small classroom and student services section here. I don't have too many questions about those. I did want to clarify a note that I took on the first line there. Am I reading this right? That community resources room and community coordinator are together?
Mhm.
Okay. Cool. Okay. Then on the auditorium side, we talked a little bit more about that, and with Julie's questions. My question was coming back to the music class and the type of events that might take place for a performance of some sort.
Mhm.
Is the stage for theatrical and musical
Mhm.
uses?
We
Okay,
would like it to be.
okay.
Yep.
Sounds good. Oh,
For the musical, sorry, just musical is kind of like what we do now, like the class would fill up one at a time, but doesn't need to hold.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. So you're just gonna have one class. Unless, I guess, when you have strings though, like then there's multiple, like sometimes it is. Like when, in the past, when they performed, it may be. Like 2 or 3 grades up there.
Well, no, it gets broken up to beginning and intermediate.
Okay, so that's more than 30 or still 30 only needs to fit on the stage.
I think just because of our numbers, there's never more than 30
30,
kids in
okay.
class.
Like on that were performing, if they were doing at a performance, so up there, they wouldn't be more than 30.
The class that they go to in practice would be the group that
That they
they're
perform.
performed
Okay,
together with.
okay.
I think that's good. That's actually a question for Emily.
Just in the past, I know we've had like, when that's when we had, brass and like there was, it's like the
Yes.
more advanced class, and I feel like it was more than 30 performing,
Yeah,
but
so if you get into 6th, 7th, and 8th, it could very well end up being very months.
okay.
That's the Emily question.
Well, does that happen during specialties in middle school?
No, but it does, I mean, so as a class, that's one thing, but as a performance, it's another.
Mhm.
So if we're planning a stage to have a school-wide performance, I wouldn't want to say the things.
I see.
And what does that look like? Is it chairs and music stands?
Yes.
Is it on
Mhm.
risers? Are they?
We have risers for choir, and we have music chairs and stands for that. String we set up in the great room, and we have both of those things up there at the same time.
are you currently using portable risers and are they letting
Yes.
us up there? Okay.
So our concert is
Thursday.
Thursday. Welcome to come and see how it's set up.
I won't be here, but I'd love to.
And I guess, so you would need to be able to have the risers and the orchestra set up for a performance
Right.
at the same time, because we can't move it all.
Help me to remember to take Kevin's some picture.
Yeah.
Okay.
That would be
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, I mean, our current great room is so wide.
Yeah.
There were a couple years that we tried putting the stage
On
on
the
this
other way.
end and then just have it go long. Because how it is right now, you either have a great spot for
Uh-huh.
choir or a great spot for orchestra, but not if your child's in both, you know? So.
How often would you say, if you had to guess, how often is that stage used for performances?
So we have 2 main concerts, a winter and a December and May concert. And then there would be 8 plays. Because there's
And the plays are primarily in the spring.
primarily in the spring.
And that's just the class, so the only
Class
people
plays.
that would be, and then,
Mhm.
And we would not have
and does middle school
parents
do?
standing on tables.
Yeah.
Mm.
Just sitting on
Because
tables.
the Harvest
Yeah.
Festival has a
Sitting
play,
on
but that
desks.
one has been outside up until this point. I don't know if that tradition will change, like starting inside and then going out. Because we never had.
Mayfair, Jennifer, also just make note, Mayfair, the last 2 years, we've had torrential rains and we've had to do it indoors as well. And we did, the year before last, we did like a makeshift stage. But last year we didn't.
Hmm.
Yeah, Red Maple. And then did middle schools do, they have like a presentation they give, right?
Oh,
They
yeah.
have been in the big,
8th grade
grade.
presentation,
yeah, so it gets used.
graduation,
I mean-
rose ceremony.
Yeah.
school assemblies.
We do a lot of that outside though, so I don't know if we want to start doing some of those things inside, or if we're gonna follow the tradition of doing like the rose ceremony. inside.
I guess depends on if it's 110 degrees or not.
That's. part of it.
And if our amphitheater is off campus.
Yeah.
Is it out of the question that violin is on the stage? The class?
It's not.
That was gonna be my suggestion. Stages are often not used quite as much as you guys are using them, but
Yeah,
when they sit vacant, it's expensive square footage to leave vacant. And if we can have something scheduled in there, like a music class, it would be better.
So you could have like when you're doing, you could have the risers for the choir and then your violin down at the ground, like on the auditorium. So you don't have to have it house as many.
Correct.
Got it.
There's a space planning technique that I've seen used in a couple schools, and I'm pitching it right now for a chief charter, and I think they like it, but we're not quite there yet. The music classroom is its own bubble, right? But one of the walls is a operable partition that gets opened up during performance time, and that classroom is actually elevated up like a normal stage would be. So when that partition is open, it's open to the auditorium classroom next to it.
That's
It's a little
cool.
more complicated, but it gets you a twofer, and it actually feels like an honest to goodness stage.
We
in some
saw a
ways.
picture of one stage. And it had on the back side, it opened up to like the play yard. So they could open it up and they could have people be outside but still have the stage, right? So they could use it where people were outside, or they could use it where people were inside.
I did one of those in LA. and
It was so cool.
awesome.
Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
Expensive.
We,
Yeah,
we
I bet.
wanted to do that at Neil Dow and
Uh-huh.
then costs got too heavy, so we didn't. But we are doing that at McManus.
Oh, yeah.
But I think, you do sacrifice a lot of wall space
Mhm.
because you have to keep it clear.
Oh,
Right.
because you can't, yeah.
Can't
use it.
store, you
Yeah,
can't use
that's
it
true.
to store anything because you'll wanna open those
Mhm.
doors. But I do like the idea of, like a,
Mhm.
what do you call
Be a
it?
door.
Door of some sort that closes off the stage, because that's one of the biggest complaints that I get from having band or choir classes on the stage, is that it, too much sound comes from outside, or if there's people walking by.
Mhm.
So having some real barrier on the edge
Mhm.
would probably be worthwhile to invest in.
Yeah, and right now we don't have a stage at all, right? So,
Yeah,
anything that is going to give us a little bit of something, I think we're gonna very much appreciate, so.
We'll aim there, and I
Yeah.
mean, just to be realistic, if that doesn't work out, the fallback that I often do with charter schools is portable risers. It's just,
Yeah,
it works.
yeah, but you always have to store them somewhere,
yes,
so you have to
Yeah.
build space for
yeah.
them
And
to
here
go.
we have plenty of that, but
Right.
at a new site, we won't.
Okay. Fee for the backstage closet, okay there. Do you store large set pieces ever if you're doing large stage performances?
I think that's the intention.
Yeah.
It's pretty hodgepodge right now.
And they do the same place every year for the most part, right? I mean, do you even reuse a lot of it, or?
What we have right now, we've had a family, it must have been like 5 years ago now, and they did Prisoner of Azkaban in 7th grade. I think that was Elska's 7th grade. And they did the most incredible backdrops, but because it was Harry Potter with Azkaban, we were able to, there was like a castle set up and a forest set up, so it's been applied to George and the Dragon and Robin Hood, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of versatility there.
Yeah,
Right now, it's like canvas drapes and some cardboard pieces.
Yeah.
There's not students too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I really want us to get better at repurposing.
yeah.
But large heavy things that roll around, like plywood and 2x4 castle.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think we're,
Looks lighter.
yeah,
That's great, okay. Let's talk about your kitchen next. We may have had a brief discussion about it before, but the difference between a warming kitchen and a full cook from scratch kitchen is a pretty big cost difference. Remind me, I know how you do food service now, your intent for the new campus. Would you still like to have
I think.
I think the consensus is, everybody would love for us to prepare our own food, right? Whether or not that's feasible is a whole nother discussion. So,
We can help you evaluate that.
yeah.
The cost number per square foot for full kitchens it's pretty scientific, and our cost estimating partners know that number. So we can tell you.
Yeah. That's been something that's been within the community a lot is, better nutritional food,
Scratch
that,
cook.
Uh-huh.
that the kids are going to eat it, is a whole nother discussion after it's made. But, so, I don't know, right, that's kind of a big conversation, so,
Fresher, more local
yeah.
food, really local foods, I don't want the food that's from Berkeley.
Yeah, yes.
But local food, that sort of talk is like we value and believe strongly as a school about, the importance of healthy.
Mhm.
And healthy is hard to get in a packaged product.
Yeah.
So there's a strong belief there, so I think we need to at least look at
Mhm.
what it would take to do that well. And there is a belief that, that's what a lot of parents want more of. So.
Yeah. In our kindergarten, they do that, you went in there, but like they cook rice, they make beans, they do soup, so they have a schedule, they have a rhythm, like every Monday is, every Friday is soup day, and we have
Wednesday's team.
Yeah,
I just know that.
and then every Thursday is bread day, they make bread, they bake bread, so, kindergarten, right now they do it on hot plates and rice cookers, and they,
In the classroom.
Mhm.
yes. So kindergarten, they have their whole food program, and everybody loves it, students, you smell the bread in the hallway, and even eighth graders are like, it takes them back to that moment, it's pretty a nostalgic smell. Kindergarten, it's a whole thing, so.
So that
I
the
love
kindergarten
that.
and third grade, it's more like a studio kitchen.
Yeah, and they're
in the
great also, yeah.
classroom.
Okay.
And when our school was founded and we first moved here, I've noticed that about every 5 years, there's a different crusade that the parent community is really, passionate about. Food activism has not been at the forefront in the last 5 years. It's more cultural ideology and inclusion, but it used to be the most important thing, environmentalism and sugar and processed foods and GMOs. And I would suspect that the school was founded with that value. So at some point I could see us really wanting to return to that if we could afford it. There was a push and an excitement to have the free and reduced lunch program through the district. And it was, about equity and not having to have to worry about money and just put a hot meal with every child, and how amazing that is. But with that came, chocolate milk and large cookies called breakfast bars and things like that.
So I wouldn't say that it's gone away. I would say that they're just biding their time.
Mm.
And people, because it's been on our LCAP every year.
Yeah, that's been something in every community,
Yeah.
town hall, it's been brought up.
It's always brought up, so. The sense that, and a big thing even with the tours, sorry, Julie, but when we took that back over here and started to reduce the sugar. Parents, and we just said, our we're still having cookies, they're just smaller. Oh, that's great, just the any reduction of sugar, is seen by parents as being positive. So the closer we get to healthy foods, the healthiest of foods that children will eat. It's not processed sugar, it's other kinds of sweetener. But yes, I think it's really there as part of the community. They're just like, well, we can't do anything about it. And partly is because I've been saying, so the first thing last year, I was like, the first thing we need to know is how to run the program.
Yeah.
We need to figure out the finances of the program before we can really start adjusting. So I think if we build a new site that has the ability to, I think that will help us.
Build the road, the train will come.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
People would really appreciate it.
When you say,
this
Figure.
is a healthy food school. It really is.
when you say figure out the finances of the program, are you referring to the free and reduced program?
Yeah,
Yes,
just, you know, the process of ordering what the kids are gonna eat, how much they actually eat, and
Last
how much you
year-
pay for it, and how much money you get for it. And all
Last
that.
And the nutritional value.
Yeah, last year we took it, the district provided all of that for us,
Hmm.
like they. And then last year, we had to take that over, so we had to learn how to
Got
do the ordering and the nutrition and like making sure we were checking all those boxes.
Okay.
So it was a learning curve last year, so
Gotcha.
that's kind of what. Now Buck is the one, now he has it down, so then it's like, now how can we tweak it to be a little bit healthy?
Got it.
Yeah.
Cool. We understand the space needs for a cook from scratch kitchen and what that means for cold storage and prep and unloading and processing and all that stuff. But for your needs now, are you simply a warming kitchen or are only prepackaged non-warm food served? Or do you serve warm foods that are heated up on site?
Question from Bob.
Yeah, Buck, did you hear that?
we're on Chico Unified's program.
A what?
We're on Chico Unified's program. We're exactly the same as them.
Well, but
Our
is
hot-
our kitchen just like a warming kitchen?
That's all it is. We're exactly the same as Chico Unified.
So pre-prepared foods are delivered, held in a hot holding cabinet and.
Absolutely. I haven't, no, everything is cold and frozen. We cook it, we warm it all here, but it's all pre-cooked. Very little is raw, but we do not cook from scratch at all. And it's the easiest to do because the program itself is like going to a 4-year college. And it was, you know, dealing with California Department of Education and all nutritional standards. It was a huge learning curve. And so we just now are getting our feet under us and figuring out how to maintain the program and make it equitable for everybody. And so from scratch is a whole nother conversation. Having a kitchen that we can do food from scratch, that's I can't even think about it right now. So that would be something that we'd have to table, I think, for a while.
We have a couple years.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, right now it's all warming pretty much. But what we have, I'd like to at least have what we currently have in the new kitchen.
Okay, and I'll get a better sense for that when we come scan the facility. but
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
It's a lot of reach-in refrigerators and freezers. No walk-in.
Yes. No walk-ins.
Yes.
Cool. Both the rest of this do make sense. The school library is one that I like to spend a little bit of time on. How are we doing on time, by the way? Can everybody?
Okay, we usually try to finish around 8. so-
Okay. That works for me too. I think there was a discussion about computers in the library and that being a space where folks actually come and do computer classrooms. Is that true? No.
No,
Okay.
all the computers get wheeled to that, like our own carts and go into their classrooms.
Okay.
currently.
So what are the,
That's not something we're changing. Okay. We do, I would say probably less computer work than maybe some of your more traditional.
Are those carts in the classroom during the school day, or are they stored outside of the classroom somewhere?
They're primarily in the
In the classroom, okay.
So if a student wants to do internet research, they just use a machine off the cart. They don't need the
To go to
library.
the library, yeah.
Okay.
Times have changed so quickly.
I know.
so what types of activities primarily happen in your library during the day?
Well, we don't have a librarian. We haven't had one since before COVID. But a traditional no-tech library with reading books and having study groups and
Yeah, I mean, reading group,
reading
they're
group.
going, they're great reading groups, they're going there, small groups, sometimes special ed will be in there. That sort of thing, and classrooms, you know, when that's a reality to go in and pick up books and read them.
When we had a librarian, the library was on our weekly schedule for every grade level, once a week. And, you know, we checked out books and we returned books and the traditional library culture was still very much alive.
I like that.
So where are your books now?
They are in the library and they are not
They're
really being.
sad little books.
Yes.
Oh, that sounds awful.
Our library also has no windows. It's one of the only
Yeah.
few rooms in the whole
Yeah.
school that has no windows. So, yeah, dreaming of a natural light
The
space.
previous librarian got vitamin D deficiency.
Oh, no.
No light? Oh my goodness.
Because I'm on vitamin D now, so. So, yeah, it's a nice little. window.
Sometimes we find that younger populations like TK and K, when they come down to the library and have story time and
Yeah.
a dedicated space for that, do they do it in the class or at the library?
The kindergarten has visited with them, so actually they're doing, I'm not sure.
Yeah, they do a lot of their story time in there. They're pretty set up.
Okay.
For that,
In the classroom?
in the classroom, yeah.
Cool.
And that's part of that, is that story time happens in the classroom on a regular basis in all the grades, so.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, they don't go to the library for those kind of traditions.
A lot of it, it pulls into main lesson,
Got it.
right?
Well, I want to distinguish, so when they're saying story time, that we do storytelling.
Okay.
So that would be the teacher or, telling a story from memory and then, but the children reading books on their own. We're not really using the library at this time, but there's the plan to again.
For that separate
Yeah,
activity.
we wouldn't want to not have it.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Be really clear.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons I think I like the combination of a meeting in the library is it increases the use and size.
Mhm.
Because then there is the space in the library to do more. You know, to like potentially have a homework club in the
Yeah.
library.
Yep,
things like that.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's like children and their toys, if it's out of sight, it's out of
Mhm.
mind, but if
I
if
love
we're in the
that.
library, suddenly, oh, look at that book, maybe I'll read it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But resources for take home, do kids need to have a spot where they can go and check out a small science kit or a learning resource kit for going out in nature? Is that something you do currently?
No, it's not something.
Wow.
Okay.
Sounds cool.
Are there any sort of take home things that children take with them that are not from a classroom? Do you need storage for that type of stuff in any way? Sports take home.
Like.
Like
you could
violin.
check out a magnifying glass or a telescope
Mhm.
or.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like
I want
musical
that.
instruments are the only thing I can think of.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have charter schools that have dedicated resource rooms and there are relaxed shelves on the wall. You walk in and you start checking out anything you can think of. And they're a globe that you take home to spin around, right? Or sometimes a small skeleton model.
Mhm.
Wow,
Just had to ask.
Yeah,
that's cool.
yeah.
Okay. I think that helps for the library for me.
Well, the library is gonna be all staff meetings and board meetings and
Yeah,
parent council,
Yeah.
finance committee.
great.
Mhm.
I like that dual use of that room. And like Julie was saying, we'll have to be creative to come up with a way to help you reconfigure it if you need to
Mhm.
get bigger space or tables. Stuff
Mhm.
like that.
Mhm.
Admin is usually pretty cut and dried. The only thing that I really like to ask specifically about this is who out of that list is meeting with either students or parents in their office at any one time. On the top line, registrar and business manager probably are not doing
It'll
that.
probably be the fourth line, right? Director,
Yeah.
assistant director.
Just
Okay.
the director and assistant director.
Okay.
With parents, and occasionally the executive assistant will have people stop by and.
Students
It's more,
too,
yeah,
right?
so, no, she's not so much
No?
with
Okay.
students as much, it's mainly parents. But part of that is the front office staff work as a team, so sometimes she does have a child, first, second grader that's coming in and visiting her, as a break and, it's, so there's, but as far as, so there is that going on, but as far as actually like sitting down and meeting with a parent about an issue, that's myself and my assistant director.
Okay, great. You say the front office staff that they work together as a team. Who do you think that is on that list that relays together?
That's that's the top list, and then also the nurse's office is part of that.
Okay.
And then the executive assistant, that's what I will tell them.
Cool. The next biggest question that I like to ask about offices and how they relate to space needs is, can anybody on a list function well in an open office environment where they have just a desk and perhaps I hate using word because it's kind of got a negative connotation, but a cubicle, rather than a full office with a door that you close behind you?
There are the top list, all that can be more of a bullpen style.
Okay.
Yeah, so we
Great.
just would need those 3 offices for director, assistant director, executive assistant.
And not because the nurse needs an office, but just there would be a bed
Right.
and the restroom.
Right.
Would you need a shower?
Goodness, does that happen?
I'm just taking one out. That turned
Oh,
into
yeah.
turned into storage.
Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah,
it hasn't been a need so far.
No, the only showers other than PE that I've seen in science labs, when they need an eye
Right.
wash.
Eye wash.
Yeah, so we're not getting that detail. in
Wow.
science labs.
Yeah.
Do you currently have the shower for PE activities?
No,
Is that something that you like?
No.
Sounds
We
good.
don't,
You have to change clothes.
There's no changing, yeah, for our.
That turns into,
Okay.
you're in
trying
trouble.
to wear clothing that they can do
Well,
PE and.
we'll
that's
start there.
part of our- That's part of our dress code.
Gotcha.
So they gotta wear the right shoes. Come to school and at Walmart.
You know, it's funny in all the case study research we've been doing. I think we have about 8 example schools. Maybe we got up to 10 this last week. The number of Waldorf schools that have gyms surprised me, and full gyms with locker rooms and showers. And
It's less or more than you?
well, more. I didn't
Oh.
think there would be hardly any, but I think there's 3 schools that I'm familiar with now that have that. And
Okay.
it seems like they're all back east. They're all in urban areas. But that's not something we want to do here.
Yeah, we'll have a fun conversation another time about East Coast versus West Coast Waldorf.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's a big deal.
Really?
I think East
I'll
Coast
give you the
versus
short
West
of
Coast
it.
In general is.
The second Waldorf
on
school in
everything.
America is in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. So it's like old
Sounds like bragging
school,
rights.
German,
Sure.
old school German. And then as people moved out west, and now the saying is wherever there's a Whole Foods, there's a Waldorf school in California. So, or Oregon or Washington.
It's close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
It's a chicken and egg question, Vicky. We've been asking that a lot.
Okay, I think we can get through the last 4 of these pretty quick then. The teacher center. I'm intrigued to hear more about how you would describe the separate but connected spaces.
We had a good discussion about this today, so
Okay.
you wanna go for it?
Well,
You
I
and
mean, our
Susan
setup
both-
right now is just so awful. Anything's gonna be better than that, but we want a place where people can, warm up their lunch and have lunch and get work done. But not feel like you're on top of each other.
Mhm.
And
So the issue, this is what I shared here earlier, the issue with the workspace right now is the copier is right next to the microwave. And the computer is right next to the refrigerator. So basically, the work area is in the kitchen.
Hmm.
And so instead of having like, here's the area where we can have peace and just sit and chat and eat. And here's the workspace, it's like you have to stand by the person, the microwave is running while you're smelling their lunch while you're trying to prep your papers. And so there's really no division.
Gotcha.
It's all mixed together. So to have some level of like, here's the workspace setup and here's the lunchroom, so that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I go into the lunchroom, there's always somebody at the computer doing their work, and I'm
Mhm.
going to get in the refrigerator, and you know, it's, yeah, so it's just all kind of mixed.
Okay.
You can see it, and you'll see it and go, yeah, I
Yeah.
see what you say.
Yeah. I love it.
And that's part of, we took over a building with an intent for something else.
Yep.
And so, and then we can't do the photocopiers, because that's the only place they plug in the whole building, so, so it's really making it intentionally, thoughtfully a workspace
Okay.
and a relaxing space.
Okay.
And so it doesn't have to be two separate rooms, but something that at least feels like it's two separate rooms.
Okay. Very helpful.
Yeah.
Excuse me, do you use mail copies for teachers or staff?
Mhm. They're, yeah,
Are they in that spot then?
they're in that spot.
Okay. Sounds good. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the last 3 years. The oval school garden sounds fun. I saw the kindergarten garden. Is that
Mhm,
currently edible?
mhm.
Okay. So this is something perhaps a bit different.
Yeah, our school garden is over in the very, is that northwest corner of campus.
Okay. Cool.
I showed it to you.
I did. I saw it from afar. Yeah.
So, but we didn't go look at it, and we probably should, but yeah, we have the need and desire and want to have an integrated garden that's really not just a corner of a parking lot, like we have now.
Okay.
And so I think that to be able to be set as a garden, I think is a critical piece. The other garden, like the kindergarten, yeah, those are kind of a play, flowers, you know,
Got it.
climb on, hide behind a tree, have a play date kind of places and the kids love.
Mhm.
That one, we have one on the other side that's locked most of the time, because kids didn't take care of it, so we can having to lock it up,
Hmm.
so.
What you described just then with the kindergarten is that the forest school play yard sort of idea? Okay. Cool.
Yeah, down here, the little flower garden spaces, quiet recess is kind of what.
Yeah.
Gotcha. You
I
think
think-
the edible school garden is irrigated? Is it?
Currently it is, it has irrigation to it, they have boxes that like raised planters.
There's
They have
fruit trees.
They have, yeah, fruit trees, they plant different stuff, like, one year we planned out, like, they drew a schematic and what they were gonna plant.
Cool.
And then they go out a couple times a week, or at third grade is the intention, depending on the class, the work. So,
Do you find that it's currently large enough for your expectations or not?
I think we're at an interesting place because we used to have a garden committee and that was run by a handful of parents, and then their children have all grown up now. And we haven't had a new garden committee,
But we do have this.
but we have one starting, so
yeah,
I think,
The person pushing it is in kindergarten now.
oh, that's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, so I have a feeling it-
Just feels like nutrition, it's like asleep, but it's there, that intention. And I think if you are able to go to Sac Waldorf, their kindergarten forest school play yard, all fenced in, is really a great example. And then if I just think locally too, so Hooker Oak, their garden is in between corridors, right? Just raised beds. And so we could do something like that, or more like Emma Wilson, where it's like in the ground, and I'm not the garden person, so. But I think people will have strong opinions about that.
A lot of schools are doing raised beds and irrigating.
yeah, it needs to be irrigated.
And is that because of soil quality and concerns of contamination? Because like we have like virgin land, right? So we could have a biodynamic farm
I
garden.
think it's just containment more than like,
You still have to amend it, rototell it,
Yeah.
I mean, you still have to prepare it.
yeah, it's just easier if it's a little bit raised, so you can integrate new soils and give it more.
I think part of it
Nutrition,
too
yeah.
is you can control what's in the soil better, and therefore have more success at growing and germinating.
Yeah, and it gets
Oh.
wild, so if you can contain it,
Hmm.
it's a little bit easier.
In-ground always does better.
Yeah.
I mean, your plants love to be, I'm a garden person.
Yeah.
Always do so much better in-ground if you can get it, but it is a lot more work, because you have to have a lot more hardware to keep that.
To prep the soil.
Mhm.
Yeah, you really have to amend it. Out there, it's all, well, I don't know.
Lava
I'll have to
rock,
see when we
Yeah.
start digging.
yeah, that might be difficult.
You're likely have to bring in soil. Hmm. Unless you're, yeah, or on this side of town, it's pretty
Yeah,
nice.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
On the other side of
I had the best cantaloupes ever when I lived on the side of gym.
Well, not to do another Sac Waldorf plug, but they, they have a full biodynamic farm right on their campus.
Wow.
And it's, yeah, it's incredible. And then it's
Yep.
right, it rolls right into the American River, you know?
That's a cool site. I have their site plan and I have the Davis site plan too, and I was
Oh,
surprised
nice.
how big they are,
Yeah,
kind of sprawling.
how many acres?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
It's,
yeah.
it's a picture right now that was published on their page, so I'll measure it. When we took the tour, I think I understood that there were two separate playgrounds.
Yes, there are
Which student populations are those for?
kindergarten and TK is in
Okay.
one, and then the rest of the first through eighth share the other.
So that would be like the early child or school would be the like kindergarten, TK, preschool, and then
Gotcha.
the grades, which is first and up.
Okay, and the playground structure that you want to bring is on that side, and that's for
Yeah.
the bigs, not the littles?
Yes.
Okay. How about the
And
rest?
do they have different schedules for play?
Like first and fifth, like you
First
mean,
and third,
Yeah.
fourth and fifth, sixth, seventh,
Okay.
eighth.
yeah, they're broken out.
Anytime they're all in the playground, this is before school starts, when every
Yeah.
during drop off, they'll be out there together. And then after that, they're not.
Do some of the older pieces of equipment out there want to find a home on the new campus? I think there's Jungle Bar or Jungle Gym.
On the other side? Or is that?
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a good, yeah,
Buck said some of it isn't, we can't use because of code stuff, because it's older.
Most likely true.
Yeah, like the swings, he said, can't go. and-
Yeah.
the best monkey bars are in kindergarten.
I know, so so we'd have to look at it. I don't think it
Yeah.
is out of the question, but
yeah, it's the if.
yeah,
Rather than.
yeah. And the
That
others,
is that is old equipment. And
Yeah.
that's that you don't see in most schools, so what's the equipment we're going to use? Maybe a question.
You'd be surprised how, or maybe you wouldn't be surprised because you already have on how expensive play structures are.
Yeah.
And there are requirements for accessibility specifically for play structures, but
Yeah.
we're 3 for 3 in helping charter schools justify the accessibility compliance of their play structure that they had before. 2 of them we moved, 1 of them they got for cheap off of Craigslist or something.
this
So,
one we did in 2018.
Yeah.
Right, so we bought this one with some measured paper,
the green one,
yeah, the green and purple one,
okay.
and put it, so it's not too terrible.
I would say one part of my speech is that Waldorf schools have swings.
Yes,
Yeah, I remember that.
and the swings, and get used,
Popular.
Oh,
like in
favorite.
kindergarten, there's like a line.
They're a huge
Yeah.
favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Swings and monkey bars.
Yeah, the other thing I would say, and you guys tell me if I'm incorrect, is not having the kindergarten, the early and the grades. Be right next to each other,
Mhm.
I've heard that with, on the kindergarten side anyways, like sometimes there's things that are being said, and because there's only a fence. And so if they're kind of more separate, that would be the preference.
the kindergarten from the first through 8.
Yeah, like right now they're separate, but by a fence, right? So if they're
Sure.
out there, there's things they'll hear what the
Yeah,
8th graders may be talking about.
okay,
So,
good to hear.
yeah.
Is there anything in your play areas, either one of them, that you currently really don't like?
Buck,
Do you have a
anything in the
suggestion?
play areas you really don't like?
No
Yes,
grass,
too much cement.
no grass.
No grass.
There's no grass.
That's
Yeah.
For one on the survey. if you could-
For the game, so everyone loves the look of the trees, but our PE teachers, it's such a hassle having the trees overhang the actual space.
Are they messy?
Well, it just balls,
Oh,
um, not having open sky for PE activities.
It's a ton of upkeep, of the trees and leaves and branches growing. It's more than one person can do. So less trees in the area where they play is probably better.
There's no trees there now, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's great. I love it. I know you guys don't like it, but I do.
Guy that has to blow all the leaves.
Yeah.
How do they get shade?
Shade structure, like now we have all the trees, but over there. Like now we have a ton of trees, but over there, there are no trees
Oh,
on
I
the site,
see, I see.
so we'll have to incorporate. We obviously wanna plant some trees.
The Lane brothers have said that these are self-pruning trees,
Mm,
that's a problem.
because they fall on their own,
Because the branches fall on big scarps.
yeah.
And fall on, and then all of a sudden we're
That's
going,
quite a
oh,
way to
children, you
sell
can't
it,
play with these
self-pruning."
sticks that are falling on the play
Yeah.
yard.
Yeah.
We need to take
The slightest,
sticks away from the children.
the slightest wind, you come the next day and it is
Yeah,
covered in the
like,
parking
yeah,
lot,
so
yeah.
the trees that they planted were probably great for the purpose.
Yeah.
That the building was generally intended for, but now it's like.
Yeah.
Constant, and the liquid amber in the front with the
Mhm.
spike
Yeah.
hills.
Yeah.
But they're so much fun.
Yeah,
They're great until you step on them.
yeah, exactly.
A good choice of trees, that's all.
Having the metal play structure covered
Mm.
so that it's not too hot to go down the slide and such. Or dry when it's raining.
I'm familiar with some folks, actually quite a few folks requesting a lunch structure outside. And I know you mentioned earlier that the auditorium space is not used for folks to eat inside of. Where do they typically eat, in their classrooms?
So
Is that great?
kindergarten through 5th grade eats in the classroom, and then 6th through 8th, they're all, oh, okay, yeah. Changed back.
So.
Okay.
I don't know who's asking for that, it's not staff. The staff have talked to us about eating outside, because we went through that and it clearly didn't work. for
Oh,
a
really?
number of reasons. So
I should
we-
clarify it. When I say folks,
Nobody
I don't
here.
mean you guys, yeah.
Oh.
Like
okay.
other-
Oh, nobody
yeah.
here.
No, other schools, yeah.
Yes.
No, yeah, yes, we don't eat out, they do eat breakfast outside of the blue tables.
Okay.
But
Mm.
that's. the-
Only during COVID, we eat outside.
Yeah, we did during COVID.
During
yeah.
COVID, we
Mhm.
appreciated our big.
And
openings.
I wonder with that, Susan, if in the future we'll do breakfast in the cafeteria. Like, that's just a question.
Yeah, it's management, the staff management issue, to some extent,
Mhm.
depending on when they get here. But, yeah. I don't know.
I also saw quite a bit of case study research about outdoor instruction, and it took different forms from what I saw in the Waldorf schools that we were looking at. Sometimes they look like honest to goodness classrooms outside with covers over them. There were bulletin boards or chalkboards on the wall. And chairs and tables like you'd see in a classroom. Other times they were some stumps in a field that you sat in and somebody talked to you.
Mm.
Do you currently do any of that? Any interest in something?
Kindergarten does always, I don't know if they do as much the stumps and circles. But
I think our population has changed, and so the amount of structure that is needed to support behavior and on-task learning. We experienced and learned during COVID when we did partial instruction outside, but with a larger percentage of special needs population, that it was too much of what we would call an out breath. Like we lost the kids, like they just were not able to be as on task and learning.
Makes sense.
But it wasn't always that way.
Yeah,
And so I don't know if like in
handwork goes outside, like if it's
Okay.
nice, like she'll go
Yes,
outside a
outside.
lot and they'll do handwork in the lower grades, I know.
I think it's a good question, like we talked about Kate's experience with outdoor education, that it might be a question, because some things. Maybe it's not if we're reading, you know, a novel or something, but maybe there are times when we're actually out in. And we've gone to look at botany, that it would be great to have that class actually be outside rather than be in the classroom. So maybe there's a use, we just really haven't had a good space. And we did attempt it with, you know, we did it during COVID a little bit.
I'm chuckling because I'm remembering I'm in fourth grade now, and this is my third time in fourth grade. And my first time teaching fourth grade is how different our school was. But we were doing zoology with animals, and my class went outside with their zoology sketchbooks, and we had all sorts of animals just released onto the playground, and then the children had to hide and study like Jane Goodall in nature and like observe their behavior and all their characteristics. And I'm laughing because I can't even imagine my class for a second
Doing that.
chasing chickens and ducks and goats and all sorts of things on our playground, you know. But yeah, I think that connection to nature is such a big value to us.
Some of the science too, they do it, like in the upper grades, they do the science stuff
I do the
outside.
science stuff outside. And during COVID, when we had, like the lower grades would go out on the grass on this, we ended up utilizing the side of the building and closing it off and having, and that worked well over there. Yeah. When we tried to like actually do a class.
Like make
outside,
it so
that
it was more, yeah.
Yeah, and they would do their circle time out on the grass.
Mhm.
That sort of thing seemed to work.
That's right, Susan. We would haul up those barriers every day and block off both sides, the east and west sides parking lots.
Yeah.
And so classes come outside and they'd have there'd be a couple hours on each side. I think students would come out in the classrooms.
Which one of the two schools that you're doing right now have the outdoor circular amphitheater modern built? Is it,
McManus,
McManus.
it's not open yet.
Okay.
They
and
have
that's just a
one.
raised stage sort of thing and then half round and people stand around it perhaps, or is it more than
Well, actually, we have three. We have one at Marsh Junior High, and it's basically just a raised concrete circle. And then the grass area kind of it slopes up, and there's some concrete strips poured
And, yeah.
for little seating areas. And then McManus is similar to the stage that you were describing, where it's indoor on one side and outdoor on the other. So there's a concrete stage outside, and then some almost like Greek style steps that are raised that the kiddos can sit on. And then Neil Dow has just the exterior stage, and then it goes to blacktop, their playground blacktop, so they can put chairs out there for outside performance.
When we get to those stages, would we be able to look at some of this?
Sure.
Yeah, I
Anything.
mean, I don't know, that would be helpful to have a visual for me.
Sure.
And Kevin, one of the thoughts that we've talked about, and maybe this is the next meeting we need to do, is talking to Dan Gonzalez about, you know, maybe using some of that space as a little amphitheater, you know, just because we're tight on space.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, you have such a great site and of course, I'm coming at this from an outsider's perspective, but what I understand from Waldorf is that nature is important in a lot of different ways. And embracing that connection, I think, is important. I don't know how we do it quite yet, but you're right, we're a little tight on space. In my mind, it seems like the more formal outdoor instruction type of spaces might not be exactly the right need or the right fit for your needs. Instead, maybe something that is multi-use, like something that could be a public amphitheater that the kids go to if there is an opportunity to go outside and do an outdoor lesson. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now, but yeah, we should definitely talk with Dan.
Yeah, so we can, I mean, I know you have connections, but we could set up a meeting with him and just kind of go through what, I think he's looking at trying to design that site as well, and
Yeah.
designing our site, we kind of have to figure out what they're willing to do versus what we need to do. And then as far as incorporating it, as far as safety and security
Mhm.
with what we're gonna use it as well, so.
At our last facilities meeting, there, you guys had a little brainstorming session and came up with a list. Did that get sent to Dan?
We haven't talked to him yet,
Okay.
because there was no formal, it was kind of just a lot of ideas.
Yeah.
So,
Sure.
yeah, so,
Well, if it would be of help, I'd be happy to help kind of gather those thoughts.
Okay.
I took notes from that meeting.
yeah, I have notes on it too,
Okay, so
so,
we can have a meeting of the minds and.
yeah,
I don't think we're quite there yet. If I
Yeah.
know Dan, he would want us to come with something that is a
yeah,
little more fleshed out.
I agree, that's why I haven't
Okay.
had any further conversations with him.
Cool.
Yeah, so.
Sounds good.
So at Marigold Elementary School, we built a 2-story classroom building, right? And we had the lower grades on the bottom and the older kids on top. But elevators are very, very
Mhm.
difficult to manage, and you know, the state inspections that have to occur, or they'll shut them down if you're not in compliance. I mean, it can be a lot. So we built the ramp structure in between the two wings of the building, kind of opens up like that, and there's a ramp that for ADA accessibility and no elevator. And underneath it, we created a space that is shaded by the ramp where there can be outdoor class functions. So.
We brought that up in one of our meetings about something, I remember a ramp. I think maybe, no, I know, but we had asked that question at one point, yeah, before we were going through initial stuff, but yeah.
It's-
I think
It's
Nicole,
nice
right?
to know
Yeah.
that a ramp can replace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the ramp can actually.
It could
replace
then,
it.
I don't know if it still can.
It still can.
Yeah,
Yep.
but it does take up a lot of room, so
Yeah.
you definitely wanna think about it in a flexible way, like creating something around and underneath it that serves another function
That
too.
shade area that I'm talking about.
Well, underneath the ramp, you could also put in lockers for the junior high, and you could also put in tall storage for teachers as well for their classrooms. Just a thought.
Yeah.
Great. This is the exciting part.
And I think the outdoor education or the outdoor learning outdoors, I forgot how you say that exactly, but I think, so there's 2 different modalities. So one would be I'm giving instruction and everyone is gathered around outside and they're receiving instruction. So it's a setup kind of like the McManus Amphitheater. Or now we're taking our work outside. And it's not that we're all together facing the teacher, receiving, taking notes, but we are participating in our learning activities, almost like flexible seating classroom, but just being outside. And I feel like those are 2 very different things, and I don't know, I think, yeah, I forgot about Kate's outdoor education experience.
Yeah.
But those, you know, I wouldn't want us to like build like an outdoor classroom if we don't need that. If what we're really saying is we, you know, at a certain point want to get the kids outside to finish their work or have more of a dynamic, flexible seating.
The thing that I was thinking about here, the second modality you described is, you know, blankets on a grass space could serve well for some work activities, the one where you take your work outside, right? All the way up to something that's more formal, where there's benches or a place for somebody to sit and actually do work at a table type of setting.
But the ability to roll items out of a lower level classroom, so you can create a space outside, but it's not there all the time.
Yeah.
You roll it back in, use it in the classroom.
That's a good one.
I love rolling carts.
Yeah, I got everything on wheels if I could.
Yeah.
Cause you work in facilities, you know.
How are you doing? I got in home.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Tell me one last question. Do you operate a bus service? Do you want to? Is anything?
It's been a conversation.
It
Okay.
is something we desperately need.
Okay.
I can get the funding, we will have a bus or a dance, more than likely we will do dance.
Okay,
Oh,
Isn't it?
That's much more
possibility because
manageable.
of Bruce Road, might have public transportation.
Bruce Road will have a public transportation bus, right, that stops right, like across the street or right near us. They will have that, but I'm talking about how do we get children on field trips? How do we
Okay.
support children who are not getting to school on time?
Mhm.
Those, that's what I'm thinking is a need for a van.
Yeah.
Right.
meaning that we'll need to design the site carefully so that we can accommodate that sort of drop off. Whether that's up towards the street or further in towards the site by the building, I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, and it would be more like you're talking like the 10 passenger.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of style.
I'm not talking about the 30.
Yes.
Yeah, no, maybe that, maybe that's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, like the transit vans.
At least, I.
Yeah. Well, you're not gonna get parents to drive a bus on a field trip, that's 10 passenger van.
They have vans available. So.
Is there anything else that, I wanna
If I
make
could
sure we get,
sneak one in, this might be a tough question because you're on East Avenue right now, but do you find a lot of your student populations ride bikes to school?
handful.
We have a handful.
Okay.
The one I love is the dad, right? With his 2 kids on the back.
Yeah.
Seeing him, but we have a few weeks.
But it may change.
that will
with
definitely
a
change
different location
with the bike path right there.
Absolutely.
It could, yeah,
and depending on.
depending on where your
location.
I
family.
think that's another sleeping value, Karen.
Yeah.
We will.
They're all gonna wake up.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So much.
Mhm.
So many kids.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Good to see you.
So before we wrap up, so we'll schedule our next, do you wanna schedule our next thing? Do you wanna schedule where you wanna meet with staff? What do you,
Yes,
I just wanna
all of those.
plan before we lose track of time. And then Julie, anything to add, thoughts?
No, great meeting.
Yeah, thank you all. While I'm pulling up my schedule here, one more thing did pop into my mind that, and I think this might have been on the first basic needs summary that I had sent back is your projection numbers. I know what you talked about at the beginning, your 340 for the final build out. I'm curious, is that supported by data or is that more of a feeling of where you think you want to end up?
That's every class at capacity.
Okay,
So like every class has, first grade has 30 students, then your kindergarten has, we have 3 kindergartens, right? Those are the numbers, yeah. 3 kindergartens at that 22 number.
okay. And is that related to your charter, the max number of students that you can have?
No, we just only wanna have 1 grade per,
Gotcha.
so we talked about double tracking, but it's not something that is sustainable, we
Okay.
feel like, so. We feel
Fine.
like that's a comfortable, sustainable school for us to,
That's good to know.
Yeah.
I'm swinging for the fences here, right? And you're gonna have the newest, best charter school
Yeah.
in town and you're gonna become really popular and
Yeah.
I don't wanna have this conversation, 5 years from now and say, man, I wish we would have built the school. better."
yeah,
Of course, funding is the issue, but if it's operationally that's led you there,
yeah.
comfortability wise.
Yeah, I imagine your charter is somewhere in 700 students.
Yeah, cause we had more than that at one point.
Never been more than 400 or 500, it should never have been.
Cause that was,
600. And that's a whole other weird thing about the charter. But we went through the process and decided that as the school that we would prefer to have waiting lists than not have waiting lists. So
Yeah,
when we
than have a
were
facility, we
going
can't.
for, first of all, we were like one of the only charters. So Wildflower and Sherwood didn't exist then, and Spire was not here, so. So there's been a big change in the population just for
Yeah,
that.
it's kind of spread out a bit.
Yeah, it's spread out, and so we're still, one of the things that, numbers that I use is that in 2017, charter schools were approximately 50% of the population. In 2024, charter schools are approximately 15% of the population. So we've increased the number of charter schools we have. We haven't increased the number of students that are using charter schools. So that's broad-based. And then, yeah, just the desire to have a limited capacity and focus on that 300 students and allow those classes to build to full use. And, you know, I think we would be easily sustainable at 260 students as far as if we had that number, we can do the program. One thing I want, language. We did not include any.
Oh, I forgot
space
about
for
that
language.
note. Sorry. So back up in additional classrooms, foreign language.
Oh, okay.
Because that's.
I can't edit,
Oh, yeah.
but I have a whole bunch of notes so you can give me editing and I can add them, or I can send you my notes, so.
I will plug it in now.
Okay.
I will not remember and
Spanish would be
apologize.
just a classroom. There's no special.
Just a
That-
regular classroom.
Yeah,
Just a
maybe.
regular language classroom, and I shouldn't say Spanish, I should say language
Mhm.
class, so that's a part of a whole.
So we would need 6.
Yeah, so we would.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's one that teaches first through 8th, so we're not Spanish.
Cool.
Anyway. Wireless. So.
Sustainability.
Sustainability.
Good
So
job,
we're gonna
Phoebe.
be, you know, the school would be sustainable with all of the things we want to do. At 260 to 280, but the 300 is the capacity. And we would hope to get up to that 300 capacity for the community as a whole and to be a school of demand with rather than a school that is open.
Yeah.
So.
And I think that ties in with our looping too, that when you build that class community and the relationships that takes time, and high turnover isn't healthy for that development. And whereas if you had a teacher that was the second grade teacher and she's dialed in, and it doesn't really matter who comes in and who goes out each year, because it's going to be top dollar second grade instruction because that's her focus. We're kind of the inverse, where our top dollar success is our relationship-based education. I don't have to spend a month at the beginning of the year pre-assessing all my students. I know exactly where they are. They're giving me short essays and I taught them how to write the letter A. You know, it's like that journey is the continuum. And so to have it be a saloon door, that is what is the most disruptive. So the intention is to build strong, and sometimes people think, oh, first grade, it's lovely to have like a small class, but it's actually best to just have everyone from the first day, you know, like 30 kids dialed in, not going anywhere. And then you just build from there.
I love it.
So.
That's the plan. It's the vision.
Okay,
Mhm.
good to know. Well, looking back at the first sort of outline rough schedule that we had, excuse me, written here. We should meet in January.
Yep.
I want to give our cost estimating folks enough time to react to some of the preliminary information that I will summarize and provide to them. And I want to come prepared to that meeting to talk numbers. That's probably my primary focus for the next meeting, as well as reviewing what we'll come prepared with, which is a program. So we'll go through everything that we've talked about today and in previous meetings and with my visit to the school, and take stock of our space needs. The intent is to take that space needs, which is a number of square footage, basically, put it next to the cost numbers per square foot from our estimating consultants. In order for them to do that, I think that they're gonna need some time after the holidays.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, and if I was kind to them, I would give them 2 weeks.
Do you want to meet before that with staff?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
And depending on when we could do that, that'll probably drive when we meet in January.
We only have a week left.
So this Thursday, we have iReady training, and it's our last faculty
And we
meeting.
have the
Next
concert.
Thursday is a faculty work day, so technically it's open time
There's no meeting scheduled.
There's no meeting scheduled.
And that's our last week
That's,
before
yeah.
break.
Mhm.
The Thursday, that would be the 19th, perhaps.
Yeah,
That works for me if that's available.
What do you think? Susan?
I have one that's done right now.
Oh, you know what?
are you thinking like you talk to everyone as a group or that you're available to get feedback?
Typically, what I like to do is have these conversations when we're in the space that that person is related to. Sitting in a conference room sometimes and asking them to remember, oh, that cabinet doesn't work the way I want it to, or oh, the
So
bathroom
it's more
should be-"
individual, not as a group
Yeah,
discussion.
Susan and I talked about it briefly, and it was, it's sounding like maybe there are some folks who are leaders in their
Mm.
segments, I'll say. Perhaps those are the ones that would come forward to have those discussions.
Mhm.
So maybe it's one or two from each grade level, perhaps, something like that.
Is the Monday after vacation an on-site no student day? Ah, so that could be a day that Kevin goes around. And
So we
it-
have
That's
Spencer
January
Control
6th.
play,
Oh, right, okay.
but his presentation is 6 hours, so we could probably fit in some additional hours or at least.
It doesn't all have to be the same day either,
Yeah,
True.
right?
Totally. By
Does the
splitting it up.
19th not, does the 19th not work for you?
I forgot, I'm going in for surgery. It's a minor post-op, how do you say that? Outpatient thing
Oh.
on the 18th, then I'll be recovering on the 19th. So
Okay.
I
Okay,
probably should do that.
yeah.
Or is,
The 6th is not too far out of the question if that was the next number.
but if he's here for 6 hours, you think that's. Like if you guys are doing him for 6 hours, is that's not gonna leave you guys, well, I mean, I guess not all
I'm
teachers are
not
gonna.
gonna be
participate,
here.
you know, Yeah.
Which time would you need? For the next, and then the next possible. Yeah.
Realistically, probably 2, maybe 3 hours.
So spend some time with kindergarten teachers, probably
Mhm.
somebody that's. Lower grades.
I feel like with faculty, you could just come to a faculty meeting, but,
Maybe there's a faculty meeting and then you, like you said, you focus on like those key people in that. Like. Who's a key
I
person
know
for
the
upper
kindergarten
grades.
teachers are gonna want to meet with you
Yeah.
and like really go through things. But I feel like as a faculty, it's gonna be a lot of repetition, so I'd hate for you to spend hours hearing the same thing over and over again.
I want to be conscientious of everyone else's time too, because I mean, I've done it too, where we have a group of people and we walk through the whole school and this person speaks to their pieces as we go, and we go to the next, and I
Well, they
understand
do-
what's already been discussed.
The difference is these teachers have taught in most of the grades, right? Cause
That's
they
a great
move
point.
through, so it's not like you're
Yeah.
meeting with the second grade teachers because they're not just the second grade teachers.
Alternatively, what
Yeah.
we've done as well is just have you pick a representative sample of folks that you think are a good representation of the school's wants, needs, understandings, and wishes. Simplifies things quite a bit.
Well, we certainly need all the specialties to meet with you one-on-one, because they're so different, like the violin teacher, the music teacher, the games teacher.
But they could do those more. Do they have more time, like? That they're not with students, they could do it like just not on the 19th, like on a Thursday, like could they do it like on a different day, maybe?
Maybe
'Cause I
that's,
feel like they have more
Mhm.
non-student, non-instruction time.
I think we probably have to use, we have a pretty heavy schedule in January as far as the training days that we use. So we probably will need to, yeah, so we have restorative practices, iReady and healthy play. in January.
Do you want to just cancel
Very-
iReady this week, Susan?
You know, I
And
can, so I already did that once. And there was a discussion about fifth versus first group of that.
Mhm.
Happened on iReady Day, and Susan forgot that it was supposed to be iReady Day. So it would have to be the work day in January.
January
I think
6th.
that's, yeah, that's gonna be, not January 6th. We have January 6th, which is our in-service day, we have January 9th. That is restorative
Oh.
practices, reflective circle, really important to do. And then we don't have anything that's next week, so it would be,
So we're waiting, it would be waiting all the way till the 16th to do it,
yeah.
and we don't think we can do it any other time.
Well, unless I think I need to know what you need. Because I probably like, and what's your availability, because we can do something like, you definitely need to talk to one of the kindergarten teachers, because you just do, they're the only ones that teach kindergarten. And though we know what they do, they're the ones that will tell me, we really need to not have this kind of oven anymore, you know, they'll tell you that when we built in whatever it is they need.
And that could be any day after 1 o'clock.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so.
Because they're done at 12:30.
Right, so you can come for that. There are also teachers that are available during the day or right after school that I might get
Yeah.
them to come and do that, rather than saying this is the day we're all free and we're all gonna do that.
That sounds great so far, yeah.
Okay,
What's sticking out in my mind too is maybe meeting with each of the specialty instructors.
Yeah.
And then maybe if there's a couple from the rest of the student population at large, that might work.
Mhm.
When I come to scan the facility, was that a work day?
no, it is not a work day.
The campus was closed that day.
Yeah, because
Okay.
that's one of the
Yeah.
things.
Sure. I was thinking, well, my associate Chaz is doing the tech part. I could talk to folks, but yeah, let's do it in pieces. I'll come see,
Yeah.
visit kindergarten. How about the specialty instructors? When do you think that might work out best?
We can put them in pretty well. They have more
Okay.
free time in their schedules overall, except for one.
Okay,
The games teacher does not, but the others have more flexibility in their schedules.
Do you want to try to do this next week or when we get back from break?
great
It's the,
question.
it's a good-
When is your last day before you go on break?
The 20th.
The 20.
which is an early release day.
I
Right.
would like to squeeze in at least one. It seems like the kindergarten folks were maybe.
Maybe you could do kindergarten and some of the specialties.
Might be able to
Yeah.
kindergarten and some of the specialties.
Okay.
What's a good day for you to be here, other than Thursdays?
Let me switch calendars real quick.
Probably not Friday, it's hard to get anybody to big time.
So probably the 16th or the 17th if your surgery is the 18th.
Yeah, exactly. The 17th is wide open for me, and that would probably be a great time.
Okay, I will work on some work for you on the 17th, people to meet you with
Okay.
you on the 17th.
Okay.
What time? Oh, you're open, so
I'm
you'll just let them,
open.
yeah.
Yes.
He's open on.
One thing on that, Susan, what day is the light spiral? 'Cause kindergarten will be wrapped up.
Well, only
What is
tell,
the-
so she kind of hosts
We-
it throughout the day.
Yeah, so at a private school, they call it, well, we just won't call it that. So it's basically, evergreen boughs, that are
It's quite magical.
put in a spiral walk with one candle in the middle, and then there are gold paper stars on the ground walking the path. So it's not a labyrinth, but
Okay.
it's a spiral.
Mhm.
And then there are these dark red apples that are cored out with a single candle. And everyone sits in chairs around the room and it's completely black, except for you start in total darkness and then a single candle is lit and in the middle. And then each child carries their apple candle and they walk all the way to the spiral to light their candle. And then they find a star to put it on, and slowly the room is illuminated. And it's a festival of light, of
Yeah.
bringing light in the darkness.
And
And
when they walk it, they sing us.
There's a
They sing a
song.
song, all the kids sing a song about that child that's walking and walking back. It's quite, I volunteer every year because I love walking. Like, it's so special.
I was part of the 8th grade one
Yeah.
that they did last year, and that was truly amazing.
Yeah.
Because you have these 8th graders who are too cool for school.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Doing this thing that
Yeah.
they did in kindergarten, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So the light spiral is on the 19th and 20th.
Okay.
You should be fine with the 17th.
Sounds good.
Okay, so the 17th and then, so do we want to pick something? later in January to come back as a committee? Or do we wanna wait and see how that goes? Sometimes it's hard when we don't pick a date.
I know.
Out in the future and then
I
it's
totally
hard
agree.
to schedule, so.
Well, if I can take care of the kindergarten and specialties next week, I think your recommendation, I trust you. Would you like for me to speak with a couple folks that do represent the rest of the population?
I think so.
And I think you might be able to that day,
Okay,
you know, especially if you're just on campus and
cool.
you just feel welcome and
Sounds good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think if we plan that day for us.
Okay.
We'll get you a lot of information. We
Okay.
like to talk, so.
Thanks, Sam.
We'll be
Yeah.
glad to share how they.
were you here when the children were here last time?
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
I took a tour. with
you did,
Susan.
okay.
Yeah.
That's great.
Just as part, it was like the regular, just tour
Just
day,
the
right?
tour,
Yeah.
With the other parents.
Yes.
Other
So
parents?
one of the, we're sitting steady in kindergarten and one of the parents asked, well, when are you moving to the new site? And everything. Let's see.
That's a great question.
So I have that I need to get you the master schedules and pictures from
The
the
concert.
concert and schedule the 17th.
Yes, please. I also wrote down that you had a question or maybe a few questions for Emily about the auditorium.
Well, and you can, when she's a specialty student, you meet
Okay.
with her
Mhm.
Okay,
too.
Sounds good.
sure, okay.
Okay, and so, sorry, back to scheduling, do we wanna schedule a meeting for facilities? And later in January to be safe, or do we wanna wait? Or do you wanna wait and kind of see how your team,
I'm just gonna say, get it on the calendar if we want it.
yeah,
We've struggled with getting.
I mean, we could do like the week of the 20th or even the 27th.
My mind was going to either one of those. About the 27th that week.
That's good. I think I'll be able to be in person.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
So, that whole week you're open, or do you think, or the
Yeah,
27th
so-
specifically?
I have a major surgery on
Yeah.
December 30th and I'll be out for 5 weeks, but I believe by week 4, I will be driving and walking,
Yeah,
so.
I could do Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday that week.
you're open any day as long as it's after 5:45. But, or Nicole, any conflicts on the 27th, 28th, or 29th, or Susan, I don't know, are you gonna?
I have nothing on the calendar in 27, 20.
No, I've done. I'm fine.
We want
You
to
said 27, 28, 29th of December?
Yeah,
January. to go on a Tuesday, so it'll be finance, charter, facilities,
Tuesdays are
parent.
good rhythm for meetings, so that's when people are used to having meetings. So
Tuesday, the 26th,
we did
or
on the
no,
28.
Same time, same place.
yep, 6 o'clock,
Close, yeah, 6 p.m.
is that? work?
Yeah, I'm open with that time frame, Trisha.
Thank you. Okay. We are gonna adjourn at 8:25.
Thank you all, right?
everybody.
It begins.
Appreciate your help.
Yeah,
This was good, this feels like some good information.
Yeah. yes, yes.
Certainly the
Do you want to give me editing abilities for that, or do you want me to send you my notes as far
I
as like
certainly should.
how many I wanna add?
We just click request edit access
Thank you.
and then I'll click yes.
I was